And it looks like we are live. All right, everybody. Welcome tonight. This is going to be known as the Heat Break. This is going to be a bi-weekly little show in the evenings. We haven't said in a formal time. This is kind of a thing we've been wanting to do, and I just finally said, hey, let's do it. Where basically the community can hang out, ask everybody here questions. We've got other people from the community hanging out in here too. We're going to talk about like who we are, what we do, projects we got going on, etc. So it's going to be a fun, very laid back and casual stuff. There probably will be some swearing. So if there are children watching, please have them not watch unless they swear. And then I don't know, I'm judging your parenting skills then. As you guys know, I am Tim from TH3D Studio. I wanted to say that I am the man here, but that's technically my wife since she took over full ownership of this company last year. So anyways, we're going to go from me over to the next guy, which would be Ray. So go ahead, Ray, and give your introduction.
Hey, my name's Ray. I run Cohesion 3D. We make upgrade control.
Hang on, Ray. Your stream's dropping out a little bit. Go ahead.
All right. How about now?
Yeah, you're good now.
Let's try that again. Okay. Hey, I'm Ray. I run Cohesion 3D. We make upgrade controllers for laser cutters now. So if you have a K40 or some other cheap Chinese laser and the software makes you want to kill yourself because it doesn't do anything and it's in Chinese, you can get one of our controllers to replace it. For the K40, it's actually a drop-in. So you literally, the screw holes are in the same place and we have all of their weird connectors. So it's just 4 screws and like 3 or 5 wires. And then you can have a whole bunch of new functionality and run Lightburn software, which is amazing. And then you can use your laser and not want to kill yourself.
Yeah, I can personally vouch for his boards. We have one in our K40 and put one in my parents' full spectrum laser to make it a lot better.
Next up, that was a fun 2 days doing that.
Yeah, the whole thing with the arcing and almost electrocuting yourself. It was fun.
I didn't do that. I observed it.
Tell that to the port resistor. RIP resistor. All right, next up we have Noah.
It's not in use anymore.
Shit. I love it. Anymore. Alrighty. My name is Noah, and I am otherwise currently known as Noah ABL. I just run a YouTube channel, Midnight Ninja. That's the only thing I have going at the moment. And other than that, I drop by every couple of months to help out Tim at the shop. And honestly, that's about all I do. 3D printing is just kind of a hobby and tinkering thing at the moment. So, not a whole lot going on here.
You're so modest, Noah.
I am sad, yeah. But I am an ABL kit.
It's not sad.
This version comes with sleeves.
Oh, it's a sleeve version tonight. Okay. All right. Next up, we have Mr. Cody Wharton.
What's up, guys? Cody here. I run all the large CR10 and intergroups on Facebook. We also run C3D Media Group. Be sure to check us out. We have articles and videos, and did a live stream today building the SX4 from Haiha or Memoribot. So that's taking me all day. So we're just here chilling with Tim. That's pretty much it.
All right, and just so you guys know, I am going to be, I'll toggle. I was toggling your guys' microphones, so you can toggle your microphones manually now. So if you're not speaking, go ahead and make sure to mute that so we don't get any feedback or overlap or anything. I think Jim from the Edge of Tech might be dropping in. I think Aaron is sending him the link right now. Aaron, are you ready to make your introduction?
Sure.
All right.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So I'm Aaron from TH3D Studios. I'm pretty much the person that makes sure Tim knows what's going on here and everything runs smoothly. Just a glorified maid, pretty much. But other than that, I'm just an assistant.
Well, your position on the page is actually assistant to the regional manager, and I changed mine to the regional manager in homage to Michael Scott in The Office. So, all right. So, what do we want to talk about tonight? We did. If you guys can tell, this has been a week of live streams because Aaron has been on my back about getting through printers. We have a G-Tech A20 sitting here, which we're going to a live stream on. But this was sent to us by G-Tech as just a do an Amazon review on it. So we did that, and we will be putting out firmware for the G-Tech A20 and A20M and A10M in the near future. So, and Aaron has actually been designing probe mounts to go ahead and get our ABL kits to be able to mount on it. And yeah, so yes, the damn wreath is still here. It's right there. I moved I can't point. I moved my camera so you guys could see the wreath. So it looks like we got Scott Latine that just joined us. So Scott, do you want to make an introduction? You have the floor. Oh, we can't, Scott, we can't hear your mic. I think your mic is muted.
Let's try the breathe.
There we go.
I'm switching things. I'm switching cameras and stuff.
Ooh, I see you got a green screen now, Mr. Fancy Pants.
It's blue on the back. So I don't know what that means, but day, night, I don't know. Yeah, I want to be able to like be inside the code without blocking it completely. Like instead of having a big box, now I can be like out of the way. I can be like, see that word there that I was blocking, now I'm out of the way. It's kind of cool. Yeah. So that's what I got this for.
So you go ahead and tell everybody who you are, what you do.
Which is cool.
His audio's cutting out.
So, hey, good to see you guys. What's going on?
Yeah, so you can go ahead and tell everybody what you do. We've got, how many people we got on the viewers right now? We got 34 people watching. So
I spend my days as a slave to the Marlin issue queue and fix bugs, help people bring new features into Marlin and clean up the code and refactor and do releases and stuff like that all day long. I'm a code monkey.
You forgot the part where you break things.
Oh yeah, I break things intentionally just to see how people respond, and then I take notes.
Is Marlin really just this big kind of social experiment?
I was just about to ask the same thing. It could work very well.
There's probably is a social experiment aspect.
It would be a
sure.
great way to test customer and technical support mentality for sides. And we don't know anything about how that works at all.
Yeah. Well, I've definitely learned a lot about what the different, what people like to talk about. They and share and their ideas and how to herd cats. So it's been a great, it's always a good experience.
And we've got another person that joined. I'm very happy to see him because he's actually even busier than I am sometimes. Max, are you able to talk? I see I don't know if you're still sorting your settings out or not. But when you're ready, I'll make an introduction. Just remember to mute yourself when you are not speaking. So yeah. So I want everybody to know in the chat, go ahead and send us questions about anything, really. Anything 3D printer related. Ray is like the laser master. We're going to be doing more laser stuff, or going to be, I shouldn't say more because we haven't done anything, but we're going to be doing laser stuff on this channel because we have a Chinese K40, which is like the ANET of the laser cutter world. And Ray makes awesome boards for those, which we have. So you can expect some awesome videos on us burning things.
Okay, so we had a debate about this around Murph, which was, what is the ANET comparable laser cutter? And how does this all stack up? Somebody walked up to our table at Murph where we had the K40, and they were like, is this like the ANET A8? And I was like, no. The board in here just sucks. It's in Chinese and it doesn't let you do anything, but the board doesn't spontaneously combust. The laser will make the fire if you let it, which it will easily do, but no. However, there's these little diode lasers where it's literally like it's $150, where they just have like an open four aluminum extrusions frame. Think like, slot with the little wheels, but not even that. And then they put a little diode on there, and then there's like this little Arduino Nano with 2 step sticks controlling it. Yeah, and they sell that for
I think
$50,
Ray
and
needs
people
to
buy it
get
because
either a. Are you on wireless, Ray, at your house right now? Yeah, you're kind of dropping out. I'm really disappointed you're not hardwired.
Yeah, I'm on a laptop downstairs because people sleep after midnight.
Well,
here.
it's not midnight yet here. It's only 11:30. This is early.
Yeah.
So it looks like Max has his audio and video sorted out. I see his
I'm
video.
gonna move over to nearer to the router.
That's fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and mute you, Ray, and I'm gonna let Max give his introduction. Max, I can't hear you. Make sure your audio device is selected. Uh-oh. Technical difficulties. So let's go ahead and proceed. I think for the most part, mainly just having myself and Aaron toggling mute, because Aaron is right behind me tonight. He's streaming from his computer. So yeah, we're gonna be getting into laser cutting. I know nothing about it other than that the K40 stock board is terrible, because Ray told me. So like we've got some projects going on. Obviously, we got all our company stuff. I don't want this to really be like a promotion of TH3D. This is a hangout and chat. Is what I want to do, is have everybody be able to ask us questions and us kind of just hang out, because like, as you guys know, we all have conversations with each other and they're productive most of the time and entertaining, and it'd be nice to have basically these conversations in the open for other people to, pull knowledge out of. I thought it'd be very helpful. So yeah.
So Tim, I was going to go ahead and grab the first question that I see in chat, if that's cool.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Matty 3D Printing, he's a mod. He asked, what's the big next step in hobbyist 3D printing? I think I'm going to base it off some of the stuff that I saw at Murph. And I actually think the next big thing we're going to start seeing is like the Zesty Nimble type remote extruder setups. I think there was a lot of interest in that. I think it does a lot for printing flexibles, even though I haven't used one. I believe that's the whole purpose, is you get the benefit of direct drive without the weight. And that's my guess. I don't think it's multicolor. I think that was kind of a fad, like VR headsets. But I think the remote direct drive is what's coming.
You talking crap about VR headsets? I own 2 of those.
No, but I
haven't used mine in like a year though.
Yeah, they're a fad. It's came in years, and I mean it'll get there eventually, but it's not there yet. And I think, I think the Zesty Nimble like remote extruders, I think are coming, and I think that's what we're gonna see next.
So I mean, the Zesty has been out for a while, and then there's also the Flex 3 Drive. Those are the 2. I'm not going to say big ones, but they're pretty much the only 2 in that space of the remote direct drive extruders, and they've both been out for probably a good 2 years, maybe even more at this point in time.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen the Flex Drive out for at least a year. And I've heard of the Zesty.
Yeah. It depends politically on where you stand. The 2 creators have certain differences with each other, and each makes claims. But they both do the thing. Some experienced people that I follow said that they used it and they work well, whatnot. My thing is, you don't need it, because I'm not convinced that when you have that, let's call it the Dremel cable to transmit the motion, I'm still not convinced that you can do this without backlash in the system, which means, like, I retract a lot, more than most people. Like, I have big retractions, and it works fine for me, and it works great because it's also because I print hot. But I remember reading in their material that like you can't have big retractions when you have that type of setup, because you have like a 30-to-1 gearing ratio for the
Well,
So
and
it just
the only thing I see a problem with that too is, especially when you got these, and I'm sure Scott will chime in here too, is when you're running super high step rates, especially on these 8-bit AVR chips, you're gonna start choking on the CPU limitations of how many steps you can do per second on these. Scott, I'm pretty sure you have a ballpark idea of like what kind of like throughput do these 8-bit processors have? Like,
I'm gonna throw 3 numbers out there. 80 millimeters a second and 10 to 20 kilohertz. And Scott can tell me exactly how far off base I am for 8-bit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess depending on your setup, and how complex you're running it, how many things you have attached and stuff. But say you've got a very bare setup with just no LCD attached and a Cartesian, you can probably get into like 100, 120. But as soon as you start adding anything, it goes down from there. So people claim to be running at 200, but I don't know if it ever peaks at that speed, considering the acceleration rates we run at. And stuff.
I hate when people are like, I'm printing at 150 millimeters a second, and I'm watching the video, and it's like, you may have your slicer set for that, but your firmware is going to limit you. You don't understand. I could put 1,000 millimeters a second in my firmware or my slicer. It doesn't mean it's actually going to print at that speed.
Of course, the other thing is deltas can achieve those speeds even with AVRs because they're translating speeds and just they can just go so much faster. So ultimately your deltas are going to get higher speeds, but you're limited. And then 32 bits the way to go if you want to get anything reasonable, or even go up to smarter steppers or whatever else you have to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons I started our board that we're working on. That's why I moved it to 32-bit. Not the fact that, like right now, it's not going to be a huge benefit for Cartesian machines, but it's more of a future-proofing thing because I'm seeing these kind of products come to the market. I mean, even just running a Titan extruder at 800 plus steps per millimeter, you can start choking. You start turning linear advance on and S-curve acceleration and junction deviation, and the CPU just is like, bleh, and just, completely chokes. Someone was asking in the chat, what if you're using duet Wi-Fi? I don't believe that'll suffer from the same step rate issues because of the faster 32-bit ARM processors. They're a hell of a lot faster.
It'll go really fast. Really fast.
Yeah. And I imagine there are some 8-bit Wi-Fi options, but a lot of the logic happens on the Wi-Fi board itself. So you're really just kind of getting an extra serial connection in a lot of cases.
Yeah, so like if you have something like ESP Link or ESP3D, depending on how exactly it's set up, you're pretty much going to have your ESP chip act as a Wi-Fi host and serve the bare Octoprint equivalent host page, if you will. And then that's just going to feed to your ramps or whatever your control board is over serial, like TX, RX pins. So it's essentially replacing an Octoprint setup in like a very extremely bare bones sort of way.
Yeah, and I think the only thing we have for that is I think there's a link between the ESP32 board and its Wi-Fi option currently, but that's probably going to change as we keep expanding.
So with the ESP32, that's I haven't played with it. It's like still new in my world. Like I was doing this back 3-4 years ago when it was just the ESP8266. The ESP32 has multiple cores. So there's actually a port of Gerbil for the ESP32. So you can have, I see what Scott's, the gears are turning in Scott's head. I believe the way that was set up is they have one core running the web and the other core actually running the motion crap. I might be making this up. I vaguely recall when we were testing this, but it was reasonably fast. But Gerbil, not 3D printers.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of, just going in that, I'll just go a little bit in that direction. There's a little bit of real-time OS stuff going on that fits on some of these things. So, and they're pretty modest. I mean, they're basically just giving you threading, and then you can divide up those threads how you want. So I would imagine that, once you're on that platform, you can, and with Gerbil, I don't know if they're using threads, but they could, if they wanted to, or maybe they're just doing it their own way, but it's certainly an option.
Now, Scott, what have you? I'm assuming you probably have at least played with Clipper firmware, which is where you take, a 32-bit board, aka Raspberry Pi, and you offload all the major calculations to that, and all that board's doing is talking over serial and basically using the 8-bit AVR chip as just a stepper controller that it reads the end stops and thermistors and everything. So using it, doing no processing whatsoever. It's just responding to what the Raspberry Pi board is doing to it. Now I played with Clipper a little bit, and it sort of worked. It's still very new, but I'm just curious to see what your thoughts are on that kind of split load scenario type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea. I've done stuff where I took two boards and had one be the controller for just the Z, where it had 4 steppers, and you could level it and home it, and it would handle all that stuff. And then you just had a very bare bones protocol to tell what to do. And so, but offloading processing in any regard is a good idea. If you can pre-process things that take a bunch of time off, and take the load off the processor, great. I mean, ultimately, it's it's going to be the cost of another, piece of hardware, which is going to be a Pi, and a little maybe extra voltage to run the Pi. But you get all kinds of other benefits, like you may get a touch screen or a web interface off that. There's really good reasons for doing it. And so kind of, I think probably the marriage of Octoprint plus Clipper is going to be a thing. We'll probably see that because, they can run on the same board and do everything. And then, basically it becomes, and then there could be some interoperation there. So yeah, I could see that happening. And it's kind of not a bad idea. I mean, use the power you have, especially as it gets cheaper. It's like, why not use it as much as you can?
Yeah, because we were talking on Twitter about our hatred of touchscreens, because Nereus was talking about, the touchscreen is gorgeous. I'm like, it looks pretty, and that's where it ends in terms of the benefits. So, and you were tweeting about if someone can make an open source touchscreen, because that's the main thing, is like the touchscreen hardware is fine. It's the fact that the software that these are running on that ships from manufacturers, whether it's an MKS, TFT, or DWin, you can't do much with it. Just something as simple as let's be able to tune our steps per millimeter. Let's be able to do, baby stepping, like that kind of stuff. You can't do that, and that's why I don't like touchscreens, because if you've already been used to the functionality you get from a 128/64 graphical display, which is what all the Creality machines have, and most major printers have, if you have that rectangular, not the long one with just the 4 lines of text, the 2004 LCD, but if you're used to the 128/64, you're used to that functionality. And even the 2004 LCD with a rotary encoder, it gives you more functionality than a touchscreen. So it's like, how do we address this touchscreen? Because I just keep seeing all these manufacturers putting out, so we're going to use this, we're going to use MKS, and then now there's the MKS Robin, and now there's the DWin. Like, there's all these different touchscreens, nothing standardized, whereas the 128/64 was kind of a just unspoken standard that was supported.
Yeah, I mean, the closest thing I suppose we have is maybe I'm not going to pick anyone out, but I mean, the Panel has some things, the Nexteon display has some things, and stuff that Lulzbot's been working on has some things. And ultimately, yeah, it's going to come down to it would be nice to have an open protocol where you could just, produce buttons or menus on the display and have a nice interface, and, basically just have it feed back to you in a very dumb way. So you can just, but still have it be touch controlled. But I imagine that's going to come because the hobbyists are into that sort of thing, and somebody's going to develop it. That is one of the things that it's annoying to have to rely on vendors for, because they will give you the hex file for your new firmware for the display, and you can figure out how to install it or whatever, but they won't give you necessarily the source code. So it would be lovely to be able to have a pairing, like, here's an open source reference thing that goes with the firmware that is a touchscreen reference, and this is how you should do it if you want to match up to what's open. And so, I don't know, it's another open standards kind of thing. Like, how do we develop those and come to a consensus on what's the best way to do this? I think it comes down to somebody will have to implement it, and then if it's good, we like it, we change it, whatever. But yeah, having a nice exhibit that's actually functioning would be nice. But I think that could be done. It'd be great.
I feel compelled to mention the XKCD about competing standards, just because I always mention it.
I was just thinking that.
Yes, always.
Well, I mean, maybe it doesn't have to be X Windows, but I mean, just a little thing where you just have a very bare protocol that's like, give me a button that says this and tell me when somebody presses it.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Having some sort of like, not necessarily, they don't have to open source the firmware, but have something that the firmware on your printer board can then establish those buttons over,
Yeah.
set commands like,
And we have primitive stuff already in place. Like there is a layer of like, extensible UI that like provides a standard API for adding a custom display. And then there's also a host protocol now for like telling the host, hey, present a screen that's asked this question and tell us if they press yes or no. Like that actually is now there, but whether hosts implement it or if that becomes useful for more, these are they feel like very piecemeal and they're each separate. And I feel like it'd be nice if they could come together in some way. So it's a little bit frustrating when you're having to adhere to all these standards that are sort of just ad hoc, but well, I don't know. I guess that's how it works. You experiment and keep what works best and throw out what doesn't.
So I will just say that I've been looking into, touchscreen for control board for future products that we want to make. I've been looking into this over the past year, and what you described, A, doesn't really exist, and B, sounds amazing. So, yeah. You got to figure out which end you want to solve it on. You want to solve it on the control board end and have the screen be completely agnostic and just be like, I'm dumb, I'm going to do whatever the control board tells me. Or on the other extreme, you have something like the MKS TFT, where the control board doesn't even know that a screen exists. The screen's running the entire show, and it's just sending it's being the host and sending the G code to the board. And it works for what it is, but when you want to have more tightly coupled things, I don't believe in that solution. But that's really all you have.
Yeah, and we could meet it halfway in the sense that, they're doing G code back and forth over a serial connection. If it's still doing G code over a serial connection, but in a smarter way that we can adapt it and make it, show us here's a menu with this many items and here's what they say, and maybe have the board, be smart enough to be able to handle that. I don't know if it's going at a faster enough rate and all that, it will be indistinguishable from having, a nice UI that's, what we're used to.
Yeah. The way that both the MKS TFT and the panel Due handle this is they're both acting as hosts, and they send the G code to the control board that, like the MKS TFT, I think it's literally just sending the G code that queries the temperatures, and then it's getting that back and then it's displaying them.
Yeah.
The panel Due is a little smarter about it, but that's really it. It's pretty much just saying, hey, do you have anything for me? All right, send it. It's kind of like that. Again, I'm a little rusty on the exact specifics, but yeah, I'm not too thrilled with how the MKS TFT does the things.
Well, I had actually hoped that the MKS TFT would have became kind of a standard, because there have been, if you look at the JG Aurora A5 community, I actually was looking at how they've been hacking configs to add like baby stepping. They have that working because obviously Marlin, I believe, was introducing either 118 or 119. We can baby step over G code now, which is nice. But it comes to be the problem where like just something as I need to enter in a Z offset, for if I'm using, an easy ABL or, a piezo probe or a BL touch, like being able to just punch in my offset, bring me up a number panel so I can punch in my offset and then store my settings. That functionality doesn't exist there. And like when I tell people that I hate touchscreens, they don't understand because they haven't really played with the machine enough, and they don't realize what they're missing out on, I think is the whole reason why people are just like, well, the touchscreen's gorgeous, it works great. They don't get it fully.
From a meta point of view, I think it's funny that we all have, maybe not funny, but we all come from a point of view where we expect things to be hackable and extendable and not have to rely on the vendor, because we know that a lot of these vendors kind of go out of existence, or that these machines are sort of not exactly what we want anyway, and they're just a starting point, like a pizza crust or whatever. But yeah, they're I think it's just interesting that they don't necessarily have that cultural point of view. They're just putting out a product, and you get what you get, and if they put out the next version, you get the next version, or if they upgrade or whatever, you get an upgrade. But yeah, it's sort of like in a way, that's not unusual. That's sort of what we're used to from common consumer products, but we don't see these as consumer products. We see them as kind of living on the edge, I guess.
Well, that's an interesting point. Like, at what point is, because this comes up, like, I don't know if I would ever consider a 3D printer becoming a consumer product because of the maintenance and everything that's required. Like, people have a hard enough time running an inkjet printer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree, Tim. Me and you've had this conversation, I think, quite a bit actually, is how 3D printers are kind of they're an ever changing thing. It doesn't matter what price point you get, it's missing something. Whether it's, for instance, this is SX4 that I've been working on all day. There's no active cooling in the control box. The power cables aren't grounded. Like, no, there's just certain things about it, and it's like, this is an $800 machine. Why is it missing these things? Why?
The one thing I want to bring up is, okay, people try to use the excuse, and you guys, everybody watching my channel knows that I'm brutally honest with the printers. I don't care if I paid for them, I got them for free, etc. Everybody gets the same treatment. And what I like to bring up is people are like, well, what do you expect? Like, someone left a comment on the video where I was, basically hammering away at the Ender 3 and the G-Tag A10, and how they're just changing, major things on these machines with no notification, no version number changes, which Crowley did yet again. So we'll circle back to that. The thing is, people are like, well, it's a $200 machine. What do you expect? Here's the thing. If I go to Walmart and I pick up a $100 laptop, I know that laptop is going to work as a laptop. It might be slow, but it's going to fucking work. Like, that's the thing. It's not an excuse because the thing is cheap if it doesn't work correctly or if it doesn't last long. And the thing is, like, I know because it's more of a DIY community and because it's more of a tinkerer type thing, we're willing to accept these things, but I'm not saying it's right. I mean, our company wouldn't be a business if they didn't have these issues. But as someone that's a maker and plays around with these machines, it still pisses me off. It doesn't matter that, our company makes money off of selling better parts than what the company ship with. The fact is, it still pisses me off, especially on higher end machines, that stuff is broken, or even you got ANET selling printers that literally have burned people's houses down because they're cutting so many corners. Is a $100 laptop from Walmart going to burn my house down? Absolutely not. It should be no different. And the thing is, what's going to happen is, I feel like if the industry keeps expanding, which is growing at a very rapid rate, we're expanding. Just our little company here is expanding, quite quickly, and it's something we're struggling with. But I can see the possibility of maybe the government getting in and starting putting regulations on these things, which would be bad for everybody. So, and if companies don't get in line and start doing things correctly, that could happen.
For sure.
To some extent, I know there's some import restrictions in, say, Pakistan on 3D printers because of the publicity around their ability to be used to make lower receivers and such like that. But that's I don't know. It's all just. I mean, there's nothing too scary about them. They're really great tools, aren't they?
So I'm gonna throw Max into the limelight here because we've all been talking. So Max, why don't you introduce yourself? And I know you can chime in on this topic we're talking about.
So yeah, is my mic working finally?
Yes, it is. You're good.
So yeah, I started making things probably about 6 years ago, and yeah, I just kind of did that with a friend, and then probably about it's been 3 years now, Tim. I got into the whole ANET scene at the same.
That's where I met you.
Yeah, so I've been kind of following that whole thing, and so I've been making stuff. I have a degree in electrical engineering from UGA, and just really wanted to make stuff. But for the past 13 years of my life, I've been a data analyst, and just trying to build up the capital to start kind of just making things. And I'm finally there. I have nowhere near as many printers as Tim, but I have about 14 running. And
you had me beat for a little while about a year ago.
Yeah. So it's I've been pretty much following along, but I've had to deal with the whole Chinese manufacturers thing, and I actually wanted to weigh in on the whole why are there so many corners cut. Me and Josh, Tim knows Josh, we were talking about this the other day. It seems like a lot of these companies who jumped on this 3D printer bandwagon, they didn't make printers. They just made, like little industrial parts, whatever.
Well,
So
I'm gonna chime in real quick there. I actually had one of my suppliers told me that a lot of these companies that are making 3D printers and parts for 3D printers, not more than 2 years ago, were literally making like cheap Android tablets.
Exactly. So they're following a trend. They're getting things out. They don't care what corners they cut. Like, look at the ANET thing. Why would they disable? That's the one thing that I never could fathom. Why are they disabling the safeties? Was it because, for the QC reasons? Oh yeah, we can get it to print, but the PIDs probably aren't tuned. They're just busting out these printers. It just never.
It was to increase fire extinguisher sales in America and across the world.
Oh, it probably worked because so many posts were just, oh yeah, my ANET burned down. Then again, there's that one kid who was using hairspray, so
I mean, I've so far, I think I own about 18 fire extinguishers now, so it's working.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Could you get that tweet from Printed Solid at Murph up just for everybody to benefit from the entertainment
Yeah,
value?
give me 1 second. I'll pull it up while you guys are chatting.
Thank you.
You guys can chat while I'm pulling this up. It's okay.
Yeah, Max, I cut you off midstream. Please continue.
Yeah, so I've been trying to. We've done business demographics, things like that, and China they hit the ground running. They just don't care. And I'm not going to sit here and be that guy like, oh, China, so evil, blah blah blah. It's great being able to get things for pennies to the dollar, but people like Scott, they really kind of suffer because he puts all this time into it, and then China just comes along and goes, oh yeah, we're just gonna give out hex files, screw you. Like all these other people just contributing to these open source things, you can't really enforce in China nowadays. Never really could. It's getting better, I guess, but it would
all be solved if we all just moved to MIT BSD open licenses and just stop insisting on conditions. But we want it to be open and available. I don't know. That's the way it happened.
We're in the space of rapid iteration, and we kind of need it to be, people can really grow it this fast. But the bad thing is there's the people who are saturating the market with all this subpar crap. My JG Aurora A5 caught fire, so there's that. But like I said, I'm not going to sit here and just ham on all the Chinese things. You can get things pennies to the dollar. Some of it's good, some of it's not. Me and Tim, we started on the ANET group together, and people
you ran that ANET group.
Yeah.
And there's a picture right there. If you guys want to see, with the fire extinguisher, the ANET booth at Murph with the Marlin inside. This is the ANET manual thermal protection device. We gave them one as well. And if you watched our last live stream where we were hanging out, we we gave them one at their booth. It was well worth the $17.89 I paid at Walmart for it.
Oh yeah.
And the Chinese guys, I'm waiting for Cody to send me the video.
You undermine my
the Chinese reps freaking out, trying to cover up. Like they're like, put it down, like putting it under the thing. They're like,
I know, man, I gotta get it to you.
Yeah,
Hey,
I know.
Tim, I just posted another link in chat. Open that up on the screen share. That's the one I wanted also to show. That was the real fun outcome from all this.
Yeah,
we need to show Tim's screen.
Your cross sections need to.
Yeah, I'm leaving.
Tim, select
Sorry,
your
I had
screen.
to unmute my mic. Sorry. This was their April Fool's Day joke. They just cropped that out. This is funny. Is your printer one of those? There's a typo there, Dave. If you're watching, is your printer one of those that has thermal protection disabled? Can you not enable it because the company refuses to comply to basic GPL licensing? Tired of configuring Marlins from scratch because low-cost printer company refuses to remove 2 slashes from their stolen code? We now have a solution. It's great. With its comfortable grip and bright red color, it will add ambiance to anyone's 3D printer. Its custom cigarette reads more on the side, warms your heart and room unless it's already on fire. This sticker reminds you of where the code was stolen from and the importance of open source to the 3D printing community. So
I really like Dave,
I'm
and this
gonna
just
go ahead and
sealed
put
the deal.
myself on the notification list. So, I've already registered for a notification for that item.
I mean, you should get this in stock at TH3D.
The thing is,
why
these
do you
made in
have
China?
a firmware? No. They're made in Illinois. It's all good. No, why do you have your firmware when you can
That's
just
probably
sell
not any
these
better.
and make money?
We can make little 3D printable ones. You get logo on them.
Yeah.
I
You
had-
have all the
Come up
options.
on
You have the
Thingiverse.
firmware,
Oh, hang on.
and then you also sell this. You know.
I'm pulling up my files here. Hang on, marketing. Hang on, no. Is it product
So
files?
mean
Product
to them.
files. Shirts.
You know, these guys are struggling here in China.
Are they?
They're
So-
trying to feed their families, man.
I was going to actually make this a T-shirt, but my wife vetoed it, saying she didn't want to get sued for using their logo. But I was going to put this design on a T-shirt and put it in our shop. something simple there.
Mm-hmm.
Just make it BNet. It's a new company.
It'd probably be better than ANET.
But
Yeah.
people used to ask me for that group. They were like, "Oh, you must really love ANET printers." I'm like, "Hell no." That's why we have a group.
Noah just did the AM8 conversion actually at my house last week, or this week technically.
You have to basically build a ship of Theseus just to make them good.
Yeah, it's actually not bad. After the conversion, it actually prints round circles now.
Yeah.
Like that was some kind of big thing.
That's often a challenge.
Do you remember what I did to my smart frame and the ANET frame?
You just blew it away into pieces.
Yeah, and then burned it. Don't ever burn acrylic, by the way. That shit's flammable.
Yeah, we know. Haven't you seen the pictures of when the ANET's thermal runaway?
I was like, wow, this stuff's really flammable.
No, you can laser cut
reminds me of a
acrylic, and you get this really nice flame polish, and that's it. It's beautiful. You know, that's why we have air assist and lasering. But you know, acrylic, flame polish, good stuff.
Yeah, I was trying to find a tweet because like the Nike thing that's like believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything.
Yes.
I
You
definitely
made one.
They blocked our Twitter after I tweeted them. I'm trying.
I remember that.
It was a little while ago. I'm scrolling through our Twitter feed. Maybe I can just search. Hang on, TH.
But Tim, I wanted to jump in here. I'm gonna go ahead and head out. It's a little past 1 a.m. here.
I know
I
it's
got some
time
stuff
for
I
your
have to do in the
bedtime.
morning, so I'm pretty tired. But thanks for having me. I'll definitely join up and do this next time as well. So
Yeah, no problem.
catch you guys later.
Ciao.
Yeah, here's the
Later.
tweet I got. The ANET blocked my account for sending this to them on Twitter and tagging them.
Welcome, Malta, home of
There we go.
3D.
There's an actual one that caught on fire. Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything.
Be live in something,
Be live.
even if it means
Yeah.
sacrificing everything.
Be live. Yeah, we had to put the English in there.
Yeah, be live or death.
So, all right, let's check chat here. Any Chinese printer without thermal runaway is dangerous. Yes, it is. And Creality is not innocent to that. And circling back, we were talking about the cost of printers and version numbers not being changed. Another thing that's creating a lot of confusion in the community is Creality has they have their V114, which is their Melzi board, and they decided it'd be a great idea to make one with trinamic drivers, but not change any of the model numbers. So you got people going around because Teaching Tech made a video about it. And he kind of mentioned that this is not standard, but now because he didn't literally look at the camera and say, this is a custom product, the printers will not be shipping with it. Everybody is assuming it. that they come with Trinamics, and as a company that sells those boards, people are buying them from us assuming they have Trinamics, despite it's specifically saying on the product page it does not have them. So we've been getting a lot of returns on those because people are dumb and don't read product pages. So and it's part, in that instance, part customer fault, but it's also part Creality's fault for not changing the damn model number. Like, just call it the TMC 114 or something. Like, how hard is it to change a silk screen on a board? Like, or just put a sticker over it. Like, this is the kind of stuff that pisses me off. This is, you don't really grinds my gears. Like, this stuff really grinds my gears. Okay.
Hey, Tim.
I'm with you, man. I'm totally with you.
Tim, reading, what's that?
That's the something you should do before you buy a product.
Blasphemy. No, nobody ever does that. Come on.
I want my product now. I pay you to read for me.
You don't pay me anything, Max.
I pay you in love.
That's too bad. I mean, you know, one could grouse about the Chinese situation forever. It's I have a feeling. I have to say it's improved in some regard. There are really only a few little holdouts. It's not as bad as it used to be.
No, I think ANET and Tronxy are the two main ones right now that are like kind of bigger companies, but I don't really see many people covering their machines anymore. I have seen some ANET stuff popping up, but they're really not doing anything revolutionary at all. Like anything different, all the same crap. And it's like, if I'm going to buy a Creality or an ANET and they're the same price, I'm probably going to go with the Creality. I'm not going to touch ANET.
Well, they sell a gazillion of them. What's interesting to me is that we get so many people on the Marlin firmware group joining up who say they have ANETs, especially A8s, and just like, where did they find us? You know, why did they come to us? I feel like maybe ANET is sending them our way or something.
I mean, I bought an ANET over two and a half years ago. Like, an A8. I don't know, like, why are they still selling that model? I can't believe it's still selling. It's just uninformed people. Like, I don't get it.
I don't know. Maybe it must be that the price point is just right or something.
It's not much cheaper than an Ender 3. Like, let me go to AliExpress and see how much an ANET A8 is. And I haven't even looked at their stuff because they're kind of irrelevant.
I mean, I guess if you're throwing the dice and you're like, well, they're the same price, I'll pick one. You know, half the time you're going to get an ANET A8.
They're $130 right now.
Oh my God.
China roulette.
Geez, I feel like getting two.
So you can burn your house down twice as quick?
Twice as often?
Maybe between the two of them, I could make, you know, one decent thing.
Yeah, and they have the ANET.
Fire.
They have the ANET A8 Plus, and that's like they're obviously riding on this because the ANET A8 was a success despite it being a pile. It was a success. It was one of my first prayers. It was the price point was right. But so they got their A8 Plus, which I saw at Murph. But they're still not sharing the source code. It's not a color screen. It's a 12864 LCD. I've been told it's the same board, the same red board that they've been selling for a while. It's just V-slot.
Oh my God, that red board. I do not personally own an ANET, but I used to make upgrade boards for 3D printers also, and I've seen this red board a non-zero amount of times, and
oh yeah, here we go.
It triggers me. That's all.
Here we go. Upgraded motherboard. Like, what did we do? We've got overcurrent. Hang on. Whoa, I just zoomed in too far. Oh no.
Wait, do they put lightning effects on that motherboard?
I lost my. Oh, here we go. Upgraded mainboard, added designs of overcurrent protection and short circuit protection. So they added a fuse. It's still the same damn board.
That's kind of on the nose, isn't
it? What's that?
All the lightning bolts coming off the board.
I think it'd be more accurate if it's smoke, but I guess it starts with that. It is safe and reliable. Okay. With smaller current configuration, it is safe and reliable. What does that even mean?
It's got, you know, it uses
it handles slower currents, so that makes it more reliable. That's the opposite.
It uses big inductors instead of direct wiring. I don't know. Neato. Well, yeah, I mean,
it's claiming that it can herd the electrons better, but I'm not convinced.
Here's the main upgrade here. They include finger condoms.
Oh, hey,
You see
that's
those?
awesome.
That's $100 value.
Easily.
At least put in gloves, for goodness sake.
No, their finger comms are way more cost effective, I assure you. Easily.
I suppose you usually only use 3 anyway.
Oh, their finger comms are look who we have joining us tonight. Do you guys know who this
You usually
is?
only use 3 anyway.
Oh.
The one, the only.
You want to go ahead and introduce yourself, new challenger who approached?
Hold on, I gotta pause the screen. Had it playing and listening on this. It's confusing.
You should be able to hear. You should be able to hear us now directly through the.
Yeah,
Hangouts
I can.
window.
Yep, awesome. But all right, hey, my name's Griffin Paquette. I'm actually working with TH3D. We're working on some cool control boards and other things that we have going on. So figured I'd join the call.
You mean these little guys here? Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I've never seen that before in my life. That board.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, so
Yeah, so Griffin and I met little background. So Griffin and I met through Reddit because I was gearing up to do our own control board and had started it. And then saw he had posted a render of a similar board. And I was like, okay, well, do we want to compete or do we want to work together? Because I'm doing one. So we started working together. And turns out too, then he knows Ray. He's friends with Ray. So small world there. Like met him through Reddit, and then found out he knows Ray, which was interesting. So it's kind of funny. So and you actually, Ray tells me you actually had a board that for a 3D printer a while ago. I think it was called the Stealth something.
yeah, I got one here if you want to.
Oh,
On the camera.
I know
in
Ray
my
said he
drawer.
wanted them. Ray's
Ray,
been using
I
them
think
for a
Ray
while.
has more of them at this point than I do.
I have around 10. Like they run all my
Yeah.
printers now. They're quite good for what they are. If you have a single extruder, heated bed, i3 or Delta sort of thing that doesn't need leveling or baby stepping. Because hey Tim, I actually manually level my beds and they're flat. So for that, it's all perfect.
Oh, I'm triggered right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
You
if it'll-
traitor. You have to talk for your video to show up, Griffin.
Okay. I don't know if it can show there, but yeah, it's just like a 4-driver board. Dumb mode on the TMC 2208s. This is the first time we tried them out. So, but yeah, it was a cool little board. Ray uses them a lot. I don't really run them that much now that we have the Creality upgrade boards. I'm pretty much just using those and stress testing those. So
What are your thoughts on the V114 with the Trinamics, that lovely 2-layer board they have there?
oh, it's I can't wait to get one and just do some thermal testing on it because
We have one coming. One of our customers is sending it to us to make sure that the firmware and everything works on it. So I'll have one in my hands in a couple of days here.
Yeah, I'm excited to
Have
see
you
how many
verified that
degrees it gets to.
You verified that it's 2-layer?
There's no indication on the board that they actually changed any of the pores. Like if you look at the back, everything seems to be the same.
Okay.
I don't see any indication on the front. So
when you had the soldered Allegro drivers on a 2-layer, like, but it's acceptable. Like, you shouldn't do it, but you can. With Trinamic drivers, it's like, really? You couldn't have.
Do you see Max's BRB? He wrote on a whiteboard, BRB ain't it on fire.
oh man. Yeah,
that's a great way to not have performance issues, is to have soldered Trinamic drivers on a 2-layer board. Also, do I remember correctly that they still have the manual trim potentiometers to set the currents on those Trinamics?
Absolutely.
So it's literally sorry, go ahead.
No, I said absolutely. And you can't put them into spread cycle mode. So as we found in testing with ours, when you run a geared extruder with TMCs, you should have it in spread cycle mode because it doesn't have enough torque.
You should.
So I'm just waiting. And like, I'd be lying if I said it wouldn't. Like, I'm just waiting for this thing to completely fail because people are going to put it in and have all sorts of new problems and not realize that it's because the drivers are not properly set up.
For our viewers who don't know, can you describe what spread cycle mode is?
Oh, you cut out, Scott.
I was just wondering if you could describe for our viewers what spread cycle mode is.
Ooh. Hey, Griff, you want to do this or should I?
Go for it.
I'm excited. Okay, so there's actually Stealth
this?
Chop 1 and Stealth Chop 2 and whatnot. Okay, so
Stealth Shop
if you guys
1 sucks
remember,
for 3D printing. Stealth
hey,
Shop
hey,
2 is
hey, hey,
superior.
hey, I got this. Let me do this. I have 3 years of trinamic history right here, and I have slightly had an adrenaline rush. Okay, so let's do this. So, trinamic history. Originally, the 2100, the TMC 2100, it's silent. We have Stealth Chop, it's silent. And then Spread Cycle, which makes a little bit of noise. Here's the problem. Stealth Chop 1 had absolutely no torque whatsoever. So if you tried to do anything that's more than like the smallest amount of motion, you would have missed steps. So everybody was buying the TMC 2100 step sticks, then they had to do this one-wire bypass to put it into spread cycle mode. And then your motors were still very, very quiet, but then they had a lot of torque.
Oh, and then
And
they
then-
whined. Mine screamed in spread cycle mode, like high pitched, like I want to stab a
This
screwdriver in my
is
ear.
where you and I have some fundamental differences on this, because I insist that it's, yes, they do, but I insist that it's reasonable. Here's the difference. It depends on
Maybe
the motor.
your hearing is just crap.
No, it happens to me too, but not always. And if you're at 24 volts, because that helps a lot, then it ultimately depends on the inductance of the motor. If you have a high
You're
inductance
correct.
motor,
I
then
don't
yes, it's
think
going
it
to
would-
happen. If you have a higher quality motor that doesn't have as much windings, then you're going to be better. So anyways, then there's the TMC 2130 where it's smart, but it's similar enough. And then they make the second generation, the TMC 2208 and also the TMC 2224, which is my preference because it has a dumb pin that you can toggle to go between Stealth Chop and Spread Cycle. So I use that on my board.
Isn't there the 2266 as well? Isn't that what the Duet uses?
That's the much bigger one. But yeah, that's the
something like
3
that.
amps. Yeah, that's the 3 amps one, but that's all.
That's a big boy.
Yes. And then there's even bigger and whatnot. But the 2208 has Stealth Chop 2 by default. So it's silent, and they fixed the torque issue, so it's much more reasonable. And then you still have Spread Cycle if you need monster torque. But Stealth Chop 2 works great. So for example, I have an i3 and I print at 100 millimeters a second. Really, because I crank my accelerations pretty high. Or more, and it works. I accidentally, I had a stealth board, and I was setting up a P3 steel, and I had these scripts set up in the 1 through 5 macro buttons in Repetia host, repeater, Repetia, but Repetia
don't
is
use
the yes. Gina from Octoprint actually lectured me that it was named after a rifle in some European country, possibly German, possibly
How does
not.
that make any sense?
No, but the Repetia host.
Is it because you want to
I
kill
had-
yourself when you use it?
It repeats a lot.
But anyways, I had these scripts set up that would fly X and Y from 0 to 200 at some ridiculously fast speed, and I was jogging around the stealth board with this machine, and I accidentally pressed one of those buttons, and it just started flinging the bed back and forth, and there were 0 missed steps. So Stealth Chop 2 works really well.
It does. The problem I found with it is when you're running an extruder or your Z-axis, because it never gets to those higher velocities, it's always in the lower torque mode, and that's when you start losing steps. That's why our printer, our Alpha that we are hopefully going to ship next week if Aaron starts building them, the problem we had was that we were getting missteps on Z. 90% of the time, it'd be fine. But then the extruder, you start, especially with the geared extruder, it start missing steps. So we found the best way was Spread Cycle. I'm sitting here thinking, okay, well, it's about the same noise level in Spread Cycle as a 4988. So that's why we just went 4988s on the Z and E. But where this parlays into the Creality board is you cannot change the step mode on that driver. So people putting this board in their printer are going to have a whole new issue that they're not going to know probably.
Yeah, for sure.
Until a YouTuber does a video on it. Maybe that's us.
So
we
just to
can
get to
tell people
the-
how to do it. If you can micro solder a wire to the UART pin, you could do some stuff.
If
and
people
do a
are buying a
one-sided
Melzy
program.
board, if people are buying a Melzy board with TMCs, they're not going to know how to do micro soldering.
I know. So that's what I'm saying. Should we tell them? Or should we not?
So
I'll just
well,
drop
my,
the hint.
my follow-up question is simply, when is it more appropriate to use the Stealth Chop versus the other modes?
So,
when would you want to use them?
Again, the example of my i3, my P3 Steel that flings the motion system at ridiculously high speeds by accident, my Delta. I run in Stealth Chop. I don't have missed steps. I'm fine. On the lasers, we have the TMC 2224s, so same family, effectively the same thing, and we default to spread cycle. And the difference in speed might be in Stealth Chop, you can only go to 200 millimeters a second actual. If you want to go higher than 200 millimeters a second, you'll go to spread cycle. The flip is they use high inductance stepper motors in the K40. So when the motors are idle in spread cycle, they hiss. So that's the flip.
Yeah, and I've
we
tried.
ship it in spread cycle, and if somebody complains about it, I'm just like, okay, you're not going to be able to run as fast, but you're still going to be able to run pretty fast. Just change this config line item, and you can go to Stealth Chop.
So my thing is on now the Creole, the 22.8 is Stealth Chop 2. I haven't noticed the whine, but when I had built, I bought a CR10, immediately ripped it down. I put an MKS Gen 1.4 in it, and I bought TMC 2100s because that was the hot new driver. And I even had a separate boost converter to step my 12 volt. So I ran the whole system except for the stepper drivers on 12 volts. And then the stepper drivers were on 24. And the thing is, the amount of noise that came out of those motors, I could hear across the entire house. And it was this high pitched, insane noise. And that was in spread cycle mode. But the problem is that bigger machine in spread cycle, you're missing steps like every single time. Like you get like to layer 3 and it's shifted like 10 millimeters, you know?
See, that's what's crazy is those like the 2208s and the 2224s. I think the torque difference between even like the 2100s in spread cycle versus 2208s in Stealth Chop, I think they have significantly more torque and they're way quieter. So I don't know. I think we're gonna see you know, if you can up the current on ours and not have thermal issues versus the newer stock Creality boards, the 114s, I think they are. I think that you're going to see the drivers burn up pretty quickly because you're either going to have to turn the current up to get them to not skip steps, or they're just going to skip steps if you put any different extruders on it.
You know, it's almost like you're saying they didn't actually test this board in a machine for any length of time before bringing it to market. That's what it sounds like.
No, I think that they want to support your business. So they're getting people to, you know, buy the $40 board and experience Trinamics, however briefly, because, you know, in the previous room that I was in for the stream, the green room, I had my i3 with the Stealth board sitting, you know, a foot away from me, and I don't think you guys heard a thing, and it was printing. Yeah, so they want people to briefly experience the Trinamics, and then the board catches on fire, maybe, or maybe it just thermal throttles itself and it never works, and you get skipped steps, not because the driver doesn't have enough current, because you increase the current on the driver, but then the driver's overheating and it's turning itself off every third second or something like that. So you get all your skipped steps, and then people are like, oh, so I want Trinamics, let me get a board that doesn't suck, and they buy the TH3D board.
So this is the thing is that people may not realize is you just can't go and grab a drop-in Trinamic board and expect it to work perfectly in the same situation that your old drivers were working in. Like either your steppers may be low powered, or they're 12 volt, or they're going to get really hot. Everything's going to get super hot. You need to put lots of active cooling on them. And you may be dealing with torque issues. You're going to have to tune the crap out of them to get them not to, you know, go into weird modes where they think that they're being interrupted and things. It's like, yeah, it becomes a big hassle to work with them. So, you know, it's important, I think, also that they're not usually, oftentimes they're not implemented too great. It's like they don't have the right, you know, thermal dissipation or whatever.
No, not at all.
And you know that's often a problem. So it's like finding a really decent board is tricky too.
Hey, Max, have you played with the Trinamics at all? I can't remember if you jumped on that bandwagon or not.
No, I have not.
What about the DRV 8825s? I'm actually a fan of. I like the 8825s. People crap all over them. I like those drivers. Dang it!
I didn't.
The 8825s. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say I didn't see much of an increase in quality or any real benefit to using the DRVs.
They're quieter. They're a little quieter.
They are a little quieter. However, I started getting the ringing issues, and I was missing steps.
I run smoothers with mine, to be completely honest. I have a few machines here with them, and then I put smoothers on it, and then they're fine.
Yeah, the smoothers do help.
Thing about
we did testing on this, but I tried the DRVs, and the whine that I got from them just drove me insane. So Tim, you're saying you have the whine when you use spread cycle. I had the whine when I was using the DRV 8825s, and I couldn't stand it. And
I mean,
they
you
run
whine a
very,
lot
very
anyways.
hot.
You whine a lot anyway.
They need a really long pulse cycle too, like 2 milliseconds or something, 2 microseconds.
And they get very, very hot. So you need big heat sinks and lots of active cooling. Unless you're running them at really low currents, which I was running them because I needed more current than what an A4988 could do. So, different situation.
Yeah, they are monsters in terms of amperage output. They're pretty beefy stepper drivers.
So for your average, 200 by 200 i3, you would maybe say just go with the A4988s. But for something with more beefy requirements, you might go with a DRV.
Or a Trinamic, because actually any of the Trinamic drivers that we discussed in spread cycle at about 1.2 amps, RMS, not peak, this is comparable. This will haul almost as much as what a DRV will haul.
Yeah,
so
the Trinamic,
TMC 2208, if you put it into spread and you put it at the maximum current, it will haul a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've had no step loss aside from on the extruder when we were testing this new board, and I just put in spread cycle mode and it's been fine. I've been very happy with the board. Griffin and I are working diligently to get them finalized. So
Wrapping it up. Yeah.
Yeah. We were originally going to can it because some guy was like, well, you guys are charging too much. I'm going to make my own for $60. And we're just like, oh, well, that's unfortunate. And then we're just like, well, just let him. He's going to find out all the issues with scaling production.
Well, my biggest issue with that was he said he's going to have it done in a month. And first of all, we all know that's not realistic, but I don't want anything that someone's tested for like 2 weeks and then thrown out to the market. Like we've had these boards running.
Wait, but you own Creality printers.
Yeah, I mean, kind of.
You are
the test bench.
I think Scott almost like blew some snot out of his nose.
I own one shipment of a board, and that's pretty much it. So
it's kind of cool what happens when you buy and receive a board that has actually been designed properly. Like you don't need any cooling when you do your proper thermal layout for a Trinamic driver. Like I have the
we have
laser...
no heat sinks on our board, and they
exactly,
run great.
Yeah,
we've done actual thermal testing. I have a little thermal camera that I've been checking. So
I was reading 70C consistently at about like 1 amp RMS on all the drivers. So and that's with no heat sinks, no fan.
That's just
and if you're using SPI, the integrated solution works better too.
We're using UART.
Yeah, it's UART for.
Or UART, frankly.
Yeah, I am going to send you one of these, Scott, now that we figured out that the extruder not working right before Murph was a product of you breaking something in the code.
Hey.
Then later fixed.
So when we were doing the testing of the Cohesion 3D laser board, because it's also got 4 Trinamic drivers, one of the tests that we ran is we put temperature sensors on the top of the chips and also on the bottom of the board, because we actually did proper thermal sinking. And then we buried the board under a blanket with absolutely no cooling. And then we hooked it up to a Core XY with a 1 kilogram weight mounted on the head. And then we had that jog back and forth really quick, just for hours straight. And yeah, same thing. The board equalized at approximately 70 Celsius and never exceeded that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the max thermal envelope, or whatever the term is, for those is like 85 or 90. It's pretty high.
No. It's I think 110 for them before they even go into thermal shutdown.
Yeah.
And they'll stop themselves from burning up before they even have serious issues.
But that's the chip rating. You want to, if you're designing a proper board, however blasphemous that may sound, if you're designing a proper board, you want people to be able to touch it at the hottest point and not burn themselves. That's how I did it on my previous larger board, the Remix. It was a monster board. We had an automotive MOSFET on there that was rated to 120 amps. And we advertised that you can run a 20 amp heated bed directly from that. And that limitation was actually imposed by the terminal blocks that we were using to connect to it. So what I did is same idea. I took my 24 volt, 24 amp monster heat bed. I hooked that up. I let the board run it constantly. So just, just set the temperature to like 150 or whatever, much higher than what the thing can actually do. So we're just constantly giving it 24 amps. And we're monitoring the board, and it's at 60 Celsius. The board equalized. It's all good, and no fan, nothing.
Yeah,
this is how you do it.
I'm
you touch the
definitely
hottest part of the board with your fingers, and you're fine.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be doing when we get, like I said, we got a customer that graciously sent us his board because he's like, well, I don't know if this is going to work. Can I send it to you guys? Like, sure. I was like, I can pay shipping on it. Like just to test to make sure we don't have to do any firmware changes. But what concerns me, like I said, is that, because you have no communication between the driver and the CPU, you're stuck in the stealth chop mode that they ship it in. So if you need to get out of stealth chop mode, like what Griffin was saying, you either got to crank the VREF up, which then causes the driver to run hot, which is then snowballs into the fact that it's still a 2-layer board. So because you can't change it to spread cycle, you have to crank the VREF, which then creates more heat, which then leads to the chip literally just self-destructing itself on these crap boards. And people don't care because I think they were selling for $40 and the regular price is going to be $50, which is cheap for a board with Trinamics. But what people don't like, all they're doing is checking that box that says Trinamic. They're not nothing else. They're not checking the box so that it's a proper 4-layer board. The board's properly designed. You can control the drivers through UART, or even just configuration jumper. You know what I mean? Like even if they put like a little jumper on the board to just change it into spread cycle or stealth chopper, just put the Z and the E in spread cycle by default. Like that probably would have been okay. Ignoring the fact that, it's still a 2-layer board that's going to overheat those drivers. Like I'm pretty sure when I was reading through the data sheet, they recommend a 4-layer board for those drivers because 4-layer board is going to give you twice the amount of copper, which dissipates the heat.
Well, in our case, I think Ray has the same thing. We're running 2-ounce copper on all 4 layers. So you actually have pretty much 8 times the copper. It doesn't equal like 8 times.
Oh, they're it doesn't stack like that. But they're running 1-ounce copper, so you're putting Trinamic drivers on a 1-ounce copper 2-layer board. Yeah.
Well, the biggest issue with it is even if they did the jumper, like there's no pin to put 2208s in spread cycle, if I'm not mistaken. Manually.
This is why I use 2224 because you do have that pin, and then I just set up a little software-defined switch to be able to toggle.
Unless they did the OTP, which is the one-time programming on the certain chips, maybe they're all in spread cycle. You know what I mean? Because here's the thing: when they posted the videos of them actually running the boards, they didn't have the sound of the motors, but Teaching Tech did have his, and it sounded pretty quiet. I didn't hear any whine. But until we actually get one to test it, there's no real way to tell what mode those drivers are actually in.
Here's a cool product idea. Assuming that they have not been OTP'd at the factory, which OTP stands for one-time program. So if they were programmed at the factory, then you can't reprogram them, so that would suck. But assume that they haven't been. A cool product idea would be to make like a little programming clip that you would put over each driver.
Dear God, no. People would screw it up.
I know they would. And then you could tell them your board when they screw it up. I know. But you could do that, and then you could set your drivers in spread cycle or whatever. It's a great way to get people to buy your board afterwards.
People are just going to buy our boards because the Creality ones are not going to work correctly.
I know. I've been making this argument for the last half hour. I know. It's fun, like people
aggravating because like I said, like I have the business side of Tim and then we have the maker side of Tim. Like they're both present. Like I get so pissed off about stuff like this. We have the whole version number not being changed and all this other stuff. Like, and then the fact that it's just not going to be a proper solution. And you think they're going to warranty those boards that are just dying? You know what I mean? Especially if can you imagine they start shipping those with printers? It's gonna be great.
I think they are. Didn't they switch over to just
I don't think they would. What is Scott showing? Oh, Scott's got an ANET business card.
Nice.
Scott, you're still muted.
Yeah, you're muted.
I have the direct line. Let's call them, shall we?
Do you think they would actually pick up?
No. Well, it's early morning.
Yeah, I got messages coming in through WeChat and stuff right now from my suppliers giving me tracking
It's
numbers.
almost 2 a.m. in China right now. I think it's 1 or 2 a.m.
No, it's later. It's later than
2
that.
p.m. in China.
I'm sorry, 2 p.m. It's 2 a.m. here, so China is flipped from Eastern time.
Yeah, it's
pretty much.
12:40
Yeah,
here.
it's like 1,
Yeah.
2 o'clock there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's 4:20 in China.
420, man.
Okay, there has to be different time zones in different areas of China because there can't be a 4-hour spread. Yeah, it deviates 1 hour from Eastern time based on whether we're in daylight savings or not. But
Good
yeah,
night, Paul. Paul is dipping out in chat.
See how many
here.
time zones there are across the former Soviet Union.
We've actually got 56 people watching us talk about dynamic
11.
drivers for the last half hour.
11.
I mean,
Um,
Griffin and I have been talking about trinamic drivers for like what 4 months straight, or was it a year?
More like, several years at this point.
Unfortunately,
and
but
forth.
truly, yes.
Why do they merit so much discussion? One wonders.
I have to comment.
Because
I do have to say I like Griffin's little photo collage up there. Did you get that off Pinterest?
My girlfriend made it for me.
Oh,
I guess you did a good job if you thought it came off Pinterest. So. I'll take it as a compliment. Yeah, I'm in my dorm, so excuse the mess, but that's I could do.
Have you seen my office? And we want to talk about Memphis. I mean, this is relatively clean. You can actually see the surface of my desk. I forget what color it is half the time. So, yeah, and Griffin, if you ever come up here, I got all sorts of new toys to play with. I blew up an ANET power supply with my load tester. It was great.
Nice. Yeah, I'll be heading up at some point, but sad I couldn't make what is it?
Murph. Yeah,
Gonna try to make ERF this year.
we're gonna be there.
I've been trying to get him out to these for how many years now?
Yeah, it's just tough. I mean, my school schedule never lines up with it, so. But looks like my fall break will finally line up for like the second to last year.
So myself, Scott, Ray, and Noah, you guys all went to Murph. What were your guys' thoughts on it? Because I talked about it with a couple other guys. I'm curious to see what you guys like there.
Yeah, I had a great time. I was basically just kind of like, waiting for lint to accumulate on my vest as people would come around and be like, hey, you're the Marlin guy. And then they would, corner me for a few hours. And I had a lot of good meetings that way. That was kind of the way I wanted to play it. It was just wander around, see what's going on, talk to people about what they're doing, what they need, what they're up to. And it worked out really well that way. And everybody's stuff was awesome. And of course, as usual, all that great rep rap spirit was there. So yeah, it was awesome.
I just go for the free tacos. I am willing to drive inordinately large distances for the free tacos. Thank you, Google.
Those tacos were delicious in all seriousness. I ate like 5 of those things because I'm fat.
Yeah. I was convinced even last year that the meat had been slaughtered just 12 hours prior to them being served. That's not too much of a reach.
I enjoyed
I
them.
love
They were delicious. Now I want tacos. I'm super hungry. I realized I literally had a granola bar.
And the help
today.
had been hired simply 12 hours before they. Oh, just kidding.
You never know.
Murph got huge. Did you know that they ordered 3,000 tacos and had 1,500 more in reserve? And I was saying that they would still run out.
Wow.
Murph has gotten huge, and it's amazing. Like, I do 4 trade shows a year. So like New York Maker Faire, Bay Area Maker Faire, Murph, ERF, and the Maker Fairs are great because you meet your customers, and Murph is you meet all the other people that are.
Hang on, Ray. I know you don't like meeting your customers.
I like meeting my customers. There's a lot of cool people. There's a lot of cool people doing awesome stuff. No, but like Murph is like all the hardcore makers that want to be there in the little middle of nowhere. If you type middle of nowhere into Google Maps, it will drop a pin in Goshen, Indiana.
It is in the middle of nowhere. I don't understand why they don't have it closer. It is. When I first went to it, I think I went to it was 2016 was my first one, either 2016 or 2017. I found out about it. It's like, oh, Midwest Rep Fest. And I think it was 2017 because I saw some guy had a CR10 there, and this was before it blew up. And I was like, you paid how much for that? And that's got 300 by 300 by 400 build volume. And then I learned about tiny machines, and that machine basically, actually not basically, that machine is the reason I have a company, is because I bought one of those and got sucked into that community. I am curious to know, what was everybody's first 3D printer?
Okay, so I've been doing this for a while. I was doing CAD. Okay, yeah, I'm getting there. So I was doing CAD work for a client in like the fall of 2013. And we got a 3D printer so we could make prototypes. And then I got really into it. And then I went to New York Maker Faire in fall of 2013 or 2014 or something like that. Fall of 2013. Yeah. And I saw the G-Max there. I saw a whole bunch of printers, and I saw the G-Max, and the G-Max was like this big one, and they were just having their Kickstarter campaign. I was like, I want that. So I didn't want to pay their prices for it. I was a broke college dropout at the time. And I was like, yeah, they're selling this for like 15 or 1,800 bucks or something like that. And yeah, I'm going to do it myself. So they open sourced their STL files, but that was it. So I read their instruction manual, and then I reverse engineered the bill of materials, and I built it myself for 750 bucks. And
wow, you China'd them.
Well, no, I actually bought 80/20 and like a genuine J head and all the good stuff.
Did you see the J-Head people were at Murph? Did you guys see that? The hot ends
I didn't meet
people?
them. I was aware, and I didn't find them.
Who is buying these?
People are buying them. There is a following of people that believe that the PLA performance is better than it is with E3D. I am not in that camp. That was the first and last J-Head that I bought in 2014.
I am starting personally to gravitate more towards using our high temp tubing versus going all metal, considering I can run 275C on the tubing, because it's like all metal is great. Don't get me wrong. But if you're doing PLA, and you're not using an oiler, it's kind of more hassle than it's worth sometimes.
I don't oil. Oiling is a myth, and I just run
works.
PLA. Sure.
It's not
so do a number of other homeopathic cures. Sure, they work. But I run PLA through V6s all day. So anyways, yeah, so I built my own G-Max for 750 bucks, and then I had a whole bunch of problems with it, and then I started designing my own 3D printers, and now I have 25 printers and a company.
How many of those printers actually work?
2 at a time? Maybe 3? What you should really ask is how many of them are in a state of built, because most are not.
Well, Aaron just forced me to build all the printers. We had seriously like 12 printers in boxes, and now none of them are in boxes because Aaron's like, Tim, you need to get off your ass. Like, I pretty much hired Aaron to keep on me of getting shit done, because I've learned that I need somebody to kind of push me into actually making sure I'm staying on top of things and staying on task, because sometimes I get sidetracked because I have ADHD. So he's been very helpful. I don't know if he's watching, but Aaron, if you're watching, I love you, bro. Like, you're an awesome team member. I appreciate you. So Scott, I see Scott holding up a contraption there made of wood.
Oh my God, is that the i4?
His mic's still muted. Oh,
classic Porsche i3. You order the frame online, and then you build it. This one had the fins for extra stability.
The printer that watched 1,000 clones.
As you can see, I went all out for electrical stability.
It's still using, better than an ain't it.
Here's a nice touch. PLA bushings. Oh yeah.
That's amazing.
It uses a Wade extruder with a J head and 3mm filament.
I want to see you get that thing running and then just do something absolutely stupid with it. Like put a mosquito hot on there with like a Bondtech, like just something insane.
Yeah, the new BMG with mosquito. Yeah, that is amazing combo. I don't have one because I'm not going to spend that much money on it, but it's amazing and I love it.
This is going in there. The rearm.
Now,
Oh, yeah,
okay,
Scott,
I've heard
you have cohesion boards. Why are you using a rearm? Right here,
I'm
dude.
also going to use the cohesion board. Actually,
you
this
just triggered Ray.
This
Ray
is
is
the first
triggered.
one I'm putting in because the wiring fits. But then after that, I'm going to redo the wiring and put in some other
So
boards.
now here's the thing. I know there was like ramps FD or something like that, which is apparently dangerous.
Yeah, there's an older
Yes.
version that was. Yeah.
So like
No, they all are.
I
don't believe
definitely
it.
It might all be.
somewhere here, but I've never done it.
Oh, they are. They're dangerous. Yeah. Well, that's built on the DO or the SAM X3X80 processor, and that's it's decent. 5 times as fast as your AVR. So right out of the gate, you've got some more power there. But yeah, I haven't used them electrically. They're weird, I guess. I do actually have one here.
Yeah, there's like big disclaimers on those. Like basically, it'll burn your house down if you use it.
Well, it's got to do with the MOSFET issue again, because you're running a 3.3 volt signal up to the MOSFETs, and the MOSFETs are not great on ramps to start with. So using a lower voltage is just going to make it much more dangerous.
Yeah. So effectively, they took ramps. They said we're going to make ramps so that you can stick it on the Arduino Due, but the Arduino Due runs on 3.3 volts because it's a 32-bit chip.
Are you calling it the Due? Are you seriously doing that right now?
The Due, yes.
It's Italian,
Oh, is it? Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Oh,
My
my
name
first
is
Arduino.
Otto. It means 8.
The 2009 or 2009. That was my first Arduino.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 2009. Yeah, 2009. So obviously, I will also say Due. Yes.
I like a Parmigiano on my Arduino.
So Max,
they would make a special version for you. They would.
Max, what was your first printer?
I don't want to say it. It's embarrassing.
No, you have to. You have to say what your first printer was. I admitted that my first printer was an ANET A8.
The first one I cut my teeth on was a Da Vinci.
Oh God! Now
Yeah.
I see why I didn't want to say it.
I was like, ugh. But
still
no,
have it?
my first real money maker was probably the A8. Yeah. That's where I finally just got kind of serious. But I'm like, this thing is a turd.
Did you have the chipped like filament rolls on the
Yeah.
Da Vinci? Oh man, Doug and I bought one. Doug and I bought one as a joke because Micro Center was clearing them out for $80, and we're like, oh, we're just gonna swap it over to ramps, and we ended up just literally, I think we threw it in the trash. Like we're
Just
like, it's not worth it.
Look, Scott. Look, I can do it too. I have ANET calling cards.
Those would be really good if you need to start a bonfire.
I feel all oogie now. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a USB fire starter.
Well, you know what I hate about the ANET boards is it's a Melzi board essentially. There's no VREG USB jumper, so you had to power it off of the power supply to flash the damn things.
Yeah.
At least though, I will say though, Griffin, I want to get your opinion on this. I'm sure you messed with the newer Creality boards of the 112, 113, maybe the 114. But those suckers feed. If I have my Pi plugged into it, I shut the PSU off, I actually can read 4.8 volts on the 24 volt input terminals.
Yeah, we messed with this a little bit. There's no isolation whatsoever on those boards. It's horrible. I think we also
like through the step down. Like I didn't even know that was possible.
I haven't probed it personally. I know you gave me some numbers one time, and I had like issues with backfeed on the USB, I want to say. So there's just a bunch of power issues with those boards that, I mean,
and those are the same boards that they just put Trinamic drivers on. So you took a board that's crap, didn't fix anything on it, and we're putting more stuff on it.
Oh yeah.
Just to be absolutely clear about this, the TMC2208 chip is like pin and form factor compatible for the A4988. They made it that way so companies could literally take their existing designs that had A4988 layouts and just literally stick the 2208 on there. However, you should
That's
still have
assuming you had a proper. You should. That's
still
assuming you have a
proper
proper
design
board.
practices like 4 layers and other like.
But Ray, 4 layers will cost them like a whole $1 a board. Okay.
You got to be realistic. It's $1.20, and they can't afford that.
That's pushing it. Okay, like how they're gonna have to let someone go.
That's their entire margin.
They could hire like a whole other person
on the $40 Trinamic board.
They could like hire a whole nother person for $1.20 a day.
Yeah, exactly. No, like that $1.20, that's their entire margin on their $40 Trinamic board. So obviously they can't afford to make it 4-layer. Maybe when they jump the price up to $50, they'll be able to, but then they just don't want to.
They're not going to. Like they made the so just so everybody knows, the 114. The only difference between a 113 and 114 board is they changed the USB to serial from the FDTI or FTDI. I always scrub the letters. The
FTDI.
Yeah, the FTDI chip, which is a nicer chip, to the CS340, which works. I mean, there's what the MKS boards have. I haven't had any issues with them, but they're a cheaper chip. So they incremented the version number when they changed the chip, but then they completely changed all the drivers, and they can't be bothered. Like just put something different, like call it the V114, and just put a Sharpie with a T on it or something.
Did they change the FTDI chips because they were using the clones? And you remember that?
I was just about to say.
Yeah.
So I would actually prefer to have a CH340 than to have a clone FTDI.
Anybody
remember a while ago, FTDI pushed the update, and then all the clone FTDIs stopped working. So
yeah,
when you have all Arduinos with all CH340s at that point in time, and also you don't run Windows Update, win.
Yeah,
but
all the Arduinos I sell, I sell the Arduino Unos, and they have the CH340. Those are the third-party ones.
It's fine.
But yeah, and they work fine. But my point is, like, they made changes. They're still making cost-cutting changes. And all these companies are doing it. It's not just Creality. So don't before anybody jumps on like, why are you hating on Creality? I hate on all the companies. If somebody's cutting corners, like I'm gonna say something, especially if it's screw stuff. But changing the USB serial, whatever. But not having some sort of notation other than on the product listing that this is a completely different board is complete BS. It's absolute complete BS.
Hey Griff. So my advice is on the bottom of your board, have a white rectangle of silkscreen, and that way you can write the version notes in Sharpie in manufacturing.
Ah, yes. Very high-tech solution.
We should do that.
Put them in China. Have the Chinese people actually do it, or the Taiwan people. I don't know where the PCB assemblers in Taiwan, I'm pretty sure. So, but yeah, have them Sharpie it in Chinese so no one knows what it is. We'll just have a legend.
We'll put like a little map on the back.
There'll be a card included with every board of like what Chinese character equals what, or maybe we draw like animals, like a little doodle of an animal. Like this is the rabbit one. This is the turtle.
Yeah, just have a different board for every month of the year.
Yeah, I ordered it in March. I get a dog, rabbit, snake, something like that. Hey, it works.
Works.
Okay, so moving down the line, Noah, what was your first 3D printer? I think I know the answer to this though.
Do you now? Pretty sure you do.
I'm pretty sure it's that.
A8.
And that AMA conversion is actually pretty solid. I know Max has done it. I've done it. My brother Doug has done it too. I gave my brother Doug a Tron XY printer from GearBest. I had them send him one for review, and it was throwing him into the pits of hell for his first 3D printing. So if you look up Top Hat Waffle, Top Hat with 2 T's, he has a couple 3D printer videos. He does mostly like source engine modeling for like games. But watch his video. It's hilarious because he's just like, they tell you all the extrusion, but nothing is labeled with how much long. So he's like, then I don't have a ruler that goes in millimeters. So I'm measuring in inches and converting to millimeters. And then all the screws are just in one bag. Like, and I'm measuring out screws. It's great.
It's weird because Tron XY, every time I build one, it is that same effect of just like you get halfway through and it's like you've built like you've built like a lawnmower instead of a 3D printer. But and then like the other weird thing is like their drivers are always wired in this weird backwards way. You know, I tried to like interchange the stepper motors and they just go nuts. So, you know, I don't know like how they somehow, you know, out A-netted A-net, but they have. And it's just insane.
Griffin, what was your first 3D printer?
Yeah, so kind of a similar story to Ray. I was a freshman in high school. We had a Cube 2, I think, had just come out.
So that was about 3 years ago then, right?
Oh no, yeah. I don't this must have been like 2012, 2013, you know, but it was all like the proprietary cartridges, and I just couldn't afford to, you know, pay the school for the filament. So I printed out a RepRap Smart Wrap. I don't know if you remember that one. It wasn't super popular, but I used that for like yeah, it was a interesting machine, not at all structurally integral, but yeah, I used that to print a couple other printers after it. But that was my first one, and it actually tuned out to be a pretty good printer in the end. But man, it just fell apart. Oh, it does not exist.
Is it a pile of parts?
It's not even like, I don't even think the parts are like consolidated anywhere. It's just been reused and repurposed. So.
I'm curious, like chat, people in chat, like what was your guys' printer? We got like 50 some people still watching, which is surprising because it's 1 a.m. our time. I see people from Europe popping in because it's, you know, normal times now, but we're all up late. I know Scott's a night owl, Ray is, Max is, Noah is, Griffin. I think you're kind of depends on the day and what's going on.
If I'm not in active production with China, I try to revert back because the whole sleeping from 3 to 11 a.m. isn't actually all that healthy for you.
Well, my whole thing is I do that a lot, but I have a company to run and people like work normal hours here, so I kind of have to be up. So it usually involves me getting like 3 or 4 hours of sleep, and then I take naps throughout the day.
You just got to become an engineering student and learn how to never sleep. That's the optimum situation. There
was a video I was watching that was talking about like people's like, you know, like it basically was like it's called Casually Explained. If you guys haven't checked him out on YouTube, he's hilarious. But he was like, you know, things you should never ask an engineering student is the things you never bring up with an engineering student is homework, and the correct answer when you ask them is what amount of homework do they have, or what engineering students have the most homework. It's always whatever they are, you know, like it's like trigger words you should avoid, like don't ever bring up the job market with like art majors. But that's what that was reminding me, especially I know you're going into like finals and stuff end of semester.
Oh yeah, it's getting down to the nitty-gritty here. So never a fun time, but summer is right around the corner. So
go spend some time with your dog.
Exactly.
Go take her outside. She's just living inside now. Is she at your parents' house, or do they allow dogs at the dorm?
Yeah, they don't officially allow dogs here. I know some people in my dorm that have dogs, but she's back at my parents' house, so it gives me something, you know, to be excited about going home. Get to see my parents and my dog. So
I will say I found it quite funny how like Ray was not all about our cats, but Clara kind of schmoozed him over, and he was like, not an animal person, but she's pretty damn cute.
It's not that I'm not an animal person. I love shepherds. I don't have a problem with cats. It's just that my throat was like 80% closed the entire time that I was at your house.
They just want to love you. My cats are very aggressive with their love.
Yeah, I was just being around them, and like, yeah, it didn't really get better afterwards. But no, I have no problem with animals other than the inability to breathe while around them.
I've just always seen you as like you like, don't take this the wrong way, but you always seem like very like your demeanor is always like very like to the point, like kind of cold, and I was like, oh, Ray's got a soft spot.
No, I love shepherds.
Yeah, she's pretty cute. My wife was like,
where else am I going to express my affection?
Well, it's not people. I know you're not a huge people person.
Depends on the people.
Yeah, well, the same way with me. So does anybody have, I'm just going through here. People are posting here. Robo 3D R2, 2014 Folder Tech Delta, Wanhao i3.
M3D Mini. Oof.
I'm
Oh
a
my
fan
God.
of the
Actually,
duplicator
actually, the first printer I owned was an ANET A8. The first printer I ever used was actually an M3D Mini, and that's when my hatred for M3D began. And then I gave them $650 more for a Crane Quad, which is now still sitting in my shop, not doing anything.
Well, I told you what
Griffin has a
happened.
fun
to mine,
M3D
right?
story.
Yeah.
What
So I
was
bought
that?
one at Micro Center. It was, I guess they were clearing them out or whatever. But I plugged it in my laptop, and I had printed for like years and years, so I knew what I was doing. But you know, I plugged it in my laptop, and immediately it shut down my laptop. Couldn't get any of the USB ports to power on after that. Like completely fried the thing first time powering it up. So I literally didn't even get to attempt to print with it, and it went straight back to Micro Center. So they're really interesting machines.
What
I don't
happened
think
to
many
your,
people use them.
what happened to your computer that got fried?
I bought a new one.
Wow, that's rough.
It literally completely fried the ports on it. So, and it's all one motherboard. So it was tough.
Oh man, I would have been so.
And when you told me at the time that this happened, I mentioned it to the 3D printing buyer for all of Micro Center, and we had a nice conversation about that afterwards. Like, we're already clearancing to get these machines ahead of the store. What else are we going to do? But it was still a fun conversation.
Yeah, I don't give Micro Center a hard time because they're already so cheap and nice to me that even if they killed one of my computers, they'd still save me a bunch of money. So no big deal.
I'm going to Micro Center tomorrow to buy like 60 Raspberry Pis, and the manager there knows me as like she sees me. She literally will ask me, "Do you need more pies?" I'm like, "Yeah, I need a stack of them."
See, they wouldn't sell me them in bulk back in the day because I used to ship 0Ws to my friend in Spain because they'd sell for like $30 there. So I'd mail them like 10 at a time if I could. But I literally had to go to Micro Center like 4 or 5 times because they'd let me have 2 and that would be it.
Speaking of the zeros, we got the pallets and we got the canvas hub too. And Aaron opened it up. He's like, "You got to see this." And he hands it to me.
There.
It's literally a Pi Zero. It's not even
pie
like
in a box.
It's literally a pie. I was like, and they charged $70 for this.
We knew this when they announced. It wasn't exactly a big secret.
I mean, there's a board that's plugged into. It's got 2 micro USB headers in there, and it's basically just their board has a step down converter to power the Pi and a USB hub on it. So
yeah, it's like a shield
good margins
arrangement,
right there.
right?
That's some good margins right there. It must not be doing much to if they're using a Pi Zero, because those things are pretty slow, especially with Octoprint.
As long as you're not running a camera and you just have like an i3, as in a Cartesian, not a Delta, it's okay.
Yeah, Ray and I use them a good bit.
Yeah,
I never run a camera though, in all fairness.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we have cameras in every single one of our farm machines. That's one thing Aaron was like hammering home. And it's funny because I run Overseer, which kind of aggregates all of them. So like when I pull up my cameras for my printers, my bandwidth spikes to like 500 megabits a second. Like,
yeah,
what do you guys use Octoprint or something similar? Like, how are you guys printing? Like, what's your guys' preferred method of printing? Octoprint?
I still haven't found a good farm solution. I know, Tim, you were just talking about the
Overseer is good. So Overseer, for those of you guys that don't know, Overseer is kind of like an aggregator. You put in your IP address, you give the printer name, you put in your API key, and it talks to it. And it's great because it's local. So they have, if you go to Overseer, overseer.live, you can set it up in there. Now, when you create an account, it's actually creating a local database file on your computer through your web browser. So if I set up an account, then what happens is it's only accessible on that computer. However, it's open source. You can go to their GitHub. I spun up a Windows 10 VM, put .NET on there, and you can load it on there. So it's hosted locally here. So we actually use that to control our print farm. Now, for those of you that only have 1 or 2 printers, there is a plugin called Octoprint Anywhere, which I am going to do a video on because it takes you literally 5 minutes to set up. Your first printer is free. It's also remote control. I don't care about remote control, but there's no port forward or anything. And I think it's like $5 a month per printer after your first one. And I talked to the developer. He's a super nice guy. And for people that don't want to screw around with it, it's actually a really nice solution. So just want to give a shout out there, but I've had customers, so we sell pie kits, and I've had customers that are like, well, I want to access outside my house. And I'm like, I'm not telling you how to open ports on your firewall. You probably don't even know how to log into your firewall. So, yeah, Octoprint Anywhere is awesome. But you could use it as a farm solution, like what we were doing. I actually contacted him initially about bulk pricing, and then found out because it's sending the data out to the cloud and then coming back in, it just tanked our bandwidth because we got like 25 machines. Like that's a lot of camera feeds.
I'm sorry, Tim. What's a firewall?
That's something that the Russians penetrate.
It's a wall of fire.
We're not talking about ANET printers, okay?
We're not talking about Game of Thrones either. What are you talking about? Go away. Go away. I don't know.
Oh God, I don't even watch Game of Thrones.
Okay.
I'm surprised. Do you watch Game of Thrones, Ray?
A friend turned me onto it about season 3 or 4, and then I really got into it.
Oh God.
I was like, the title was not accurate to me at the time. I was like, I don't know what this is, and I don't care. And then he's like, no, you have to watch this. And then I binged.
It's basically soft corn porn with murder. Like that's what it's been summed up to me as.
And then I ended up binging seasons 1 through 3 and got into it ever since.
So Scott, do you use Octoprint, Repetier, SD card? What's your choice of getting jobs to your printers?
Repetier. Pronounce it properly.
Yeah, I put all my files on SD cards and print them from the printer itself.
Oh, you heathen!
Yeah,
And,
a bit of a masochist there.
I don't really monitor them much.
How much you guys? So we'll finish up
up and down, maybe the flow.
We'll finish up the Octoprint. So Max, Octoprint SD, what are you using?
I'm actually using Repetier.
Oh, what is wrong with you?
I don't know. Octoprint kind of tanks out on me.
Now, are you running? So the one advantage of Repetier is I can put like you put Repetier on a server, and then plug a ton of printers into it. That's the only benefit. Now, I don't mind having a Pi for each printer. I have a Pi and a webcam for each printer. Yes, it's more expensive, but I like the individuality and then tying it together through Overseer.
You know, I would actually do that, but you already know my situation with my tiny cabin workshop. Like the power here is so kind of weird that it's just a real estate problem.
Okay, I can respect that.
Yeah, it's hell. I do miss having plugins. The plugins were a huge selling point for Octoprint.
That's why I love it.
I had problems with it dropping out, actually. Not saying that Repetier doesn't do it, but sometimes Octoprint would just kind of derp out and just not work.
You need a better power supply for your Pi.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, since I've standardized our power supplies, we either use the 3 amp power adapters we sell in our shop, or
it wasn't even the power supply. It's just the fact that it wouldn't see the COM ports.
Oh, because I've started standardizing stuff here. So like we use the same Pis, we use the same brand S. Like we have 2 SD card brands we use that have been vetted, which we use Verbatim or Kingston. They have class 10 ones that are relatively inexpensive, but they're very reliable. And then we either use a PoE power splitter, which is it's advertised as only 2.4 amps output, but I've loaded them and they put out over 3 amps without shutting down or overheating.
I use. Oh, go on.
Yeah, so basically, I used to have weird issues until I standardized how I'm powering them, what SD cards, and using the same thing across the board. Because I would always be like, oh, I got this adapter on power from this. I got this SD card laying around. Like I started standardizing stuff, and like to give you guys an idea, I've been checking like our print logs. Like our machines run 20 to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week right now. Like we run our machines really hard, and I haven't had any issues. Like Octoprint has been solid.
I tend to use I just buy the Canakit all-in-one. The power supplies are solid. 5.2.
Yeah, Canakit makes good PS. Their PSUs they use are good.
and then I use Samsung Evo SD cards. So
I've had a lot of problems with the Samsungs. To be completely
Really?
honest, I stopped using them. I've had issues with them in my phones. I've had issues with them in my dash cams and my Octoprints. I went and bought I think 5 of multiple different brands of 32 gigs SD cards, and then just put them in, and then noted which printers they were on. And the Verbatims and the Kingstons are the 2 most reliable ones I've had. And that's actually what we ship with our Pi kits. We use the same. Those same 2 brands because sometimes I can get the Kingston, sometimes I can get the Verbatims. I need to be able to have 2 different SKUs that I can use for the same 32 gig card and the performance be the same. I actually just bought this little guy here, which I'm very excited to use. This is how you know my childhood's dead. I'm very excited to use this. Do you guys know what this is?
Card flasher.
Yes. I can flash 7 Pi cards in one go in about 15 minutes. Right now, we're doing them manually. So this was I think
Have you
$500,
looked at Etcher?
$600. I have looked at Etcher, and it doesn't using it. It's you'd think you'd be able to use a PC reliably, even with good card readers, but I've just had too many issues. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to buy a standalone device because people keep, even though we have the kits, people keep asking us to sell hey, I'd give you $20 for a pre-flash card. So I was like, well, this is our answer, so we can, flash them in bulk.
How much
There's
did
a
that thing?
business model right there.
What was that, Max?
How much did that thing run you?
I think it was $600.
Worth it.
Yeah.
If it's
It'll
reliable.
pay for itself.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I'm now I have no problem spending money on stuff to make basically everybody's lives easier and more efficient here. That's kind of the thing. It's okay, do I hire another person just to flash cards and build Pi kits, or do I try to automate this process a little bit?
Well, my SD card supplier, they put the for SmoothieWare, the config and the firmware file, they put those on the card for us, and we get those cards, hundreds of them at a time. They charge me 4 cents per card to do it.
Jesus. That's cheap.
I actually have to negotiate them down from 5 cents.
Oh, wow. You're shining the Chinese.
Nice, Ray.
Griffin, I'm not joking in the slightest. We've had the conversations. I gave you the complete rundown on how those conversations went.
The same company that makes this, they've got one that'll do 200 cards in one shot, but it's $15,000. It's huge.
Okay, so
I want to see a
here,
teardown on that, and whether it's really that complex. Maybe you could build one.
I opened it up, and it's
Fair
so
pie.
there is a specialized board here. There's a little graphical, or not graphical, but 2-line LCD here.
Yeah.
It's probably running some version of Linux. There is firmware updates for it from the manufacturer. And this specific model and this specific brand I got because this is one of the few that actually will image multi-partition SD cards correctly.
My question is, why is it so long? It seems like something that,
Because they have options. They use the same chassis for the ones that also do DVD duplication.
Oh, okay.
So these are basically 3 5.25 bays with a custom ATX form factor power. It's not ATX power supply, same mounting holes though. I already opened it up. I opened it up.
So it's just a part spin thing. It's we already have these chassis just laying around.
Yeah.
Throw this crap in it. It could be this wide, but they're like, no, just go for it. Just
And
use
it
what
looks like they have face plates.
What was that?
And it looks like they have different face plates depending on what the thing is.
Yeah, I
one
opened it
face
up,
plate
and it's
for
definitely very
keys.
modular, which is smart for them.
Yeah.
Someone's asking me, let's see their chat. I just realized I haven't checked chat in a little bit. One question regarding your Easy ABL, are you included temp sensors to make them reliable by when? What? This is not written well. By when the new version you show at Mirth will be available? They're handling that on the sensor in terms of accounting for any sort of drift. I let their engineering department sort that out. We went through about 12 different versions of their sensors to actually get them to where they are, but I can't get the damn things to drift now. I had a really hard time getting our current ones to drift, but the new ones are amazing. And I don't know what you mean by 100% reliable. The sensors, they work. So, I mean, the current ones work too. So I don't know what that question means.
Even on high end, higher end printers, you're going to get drift. It's just
And I've talked about people I have in our stuff preheat your stuff. I don't think it's more the sensors drifting. I think it's just more the printer itself, like expanding and contracting slightly different every single time the printer's heating and cooling down. Like,
I mean, you have so many variables that are just,
right.
Just this cosmic amount of variables that can change. But you can get it pretty reliable.
You
but
use our sensors, Matt.
Huh?
You use our sensors. You can attest to them.
Definitely.
I know Scott does too, and Noah, and Griffin actually. I think everybody but Ray uses our sensors because Ray is a peasant and manually.
But I have two, and I have two CR10s, so I will be installing them when I actually use the CR10s for the first time. But
you're probably gonna need them. Those beds are bad.
Yeah. But what I was gonna say is I have the "Who touched it last is at fault" philosophy. So I have a easy ABL, so everything that goes wrong with my printer is TH3D's fault. I will be asking for a full refund. Thank you very much.
It'll go the same way with the laser cutters I have your boards in.
Well, you're going to be calling me for support in 2 years, regardless of what I do or do not do. So
I'll just have you come out again and feed you and give you a place to stay, and you can play with what's the name, Clara.
Exactly. Yeah, Clara. That's all.
I don't know what this guy's saying. Atanix. I think someone mashed their keyboard or something. Or maybe they're on mobile and autocorrected. Someone WF Rider said Atanix. I don't know how. Do you guys know what that means? Automation? I'm not sure. Okay. Is it a company? I'm so confused.
Yeah,
I haven't had that much.
It's a company.
Autonics. Hold on, it's an advertisement. It's copy. Hold on, I got it here. Autonics. Our core products include various sensors, control devices, motion devices, process automation instruments, control switches, and peripheral equipment. Connection equipment. Sorry about that. I'll get it in the next take.
It looks like they make sensors and something temperature controllers.
Just their core products. Some of their side products include vibrators and other things like that.
They make packaging stuff, elevator stuff, plastics and rubber. Yeah, I haven't heard of this company. Interesting. I don't like the mechanical stuff. Hey, Griffin, do you want to talk about your thoughts on the BL Touch mechanical portion?
Yeah, I mean, well, are we talking about the new version of the BL Touch, or?
Oh, we can talk about that. Actually, something I forgot to bring up: the new V3, where they put a filter cap across the ZN stop pins.
Yeah, they put a cap to where the rise time is like, I don't know what it was, but it was just an unreasonable number to where the repeatability is just horrible. And it's not even like a filtering situation, like a low pass filter. It's just really redundant. So really strange. But it looked weird on the scope too.
Yeah, so I found out about that through Insanity Automation, which the David Menzel, he does Creality. He does Tiny Machines firmware, and he was showing me. He's like, here's the old one, and it's like, really quick rise time, and the other one, he's like, here's the new one, and the rise time is like this, and he's like, send me a couple other ones. He's like, here it is, over and over again, and it's like slightly varying every single time. And I know Scott just dealt with this because I know you guys pushed a bug fix for the V3 BL Touch because they also changed a bunch of other stuff. Apparently WFO Rider pissed off our bot. I just added a bot to chat to keep people in line, so if it's punishing people, I'm sorry. I need to configure it a little better.
Yeah, he posted some link in the
regarding that BL Touch thing. Basically, if you get the latest bug fix of either 1 or 2, then you've got better BL Touch 3 support.
Yeah, which I merged that into our code. People were asking us, and Teaching Tech did a video where he's like showing, he's like, here's all these changes you need to make tomorrow. And I was like, no, not really. Because he like went off some random guy's GitHub post or something. And I was like, no, that's not it. I mean, it may work, but that's not what you need to do. And then he showed removing the C7 capacitor from the board. I was like, you shouldn't have to solder on your motherboard to get a freaking sensor to work.
Yeah.
Why not?
This is
That's
this is the
most
this is
fun
the
part.
maker's this is the maker side of Tim getting pissed off. This is the business side of Tim's going, haha, they screwed up the BL Touch. But the maker side of Tim's going, come on, like you guys had something that worked okay, like and now you fucked it up. Like
So you mean to tell me that people purchase electronics and don't have to rework them when they get them?
that's ideally.
Ideally.
I wish Cohesion 3D would have better quality products, that don't require me recabling everything on my full spectrum laser.
It works good,
Well-
but the electrons, they pile up.
Well, it's all about the gates to herd the electrons into the correct channels. This
Yeah.
is what we're all about. It's all the switchers. and the
It
things.
also helps having your laser
Roger.
tube's return wire actually connected to ground instead of arcing through a resistor to get the tube to fire.
Well, you know what? That resistor is no longer in use, so it's kind of a moot point.
That resistor was vaporized. Like it was. I don't know if I told you when I sent the board to Jason, I touched the resistor, it just crumbled. Like it was toast. That's what, like 15,000 volts that went through that sucker.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, so what's
Ray-
funny is I had a guy on the forum that was doing the same conversion. So I sent him the picture archive, and I gave him a brief account of including that bit. And I don't think he had a resistor. He said that his wiring for that section of things was different. So,
Weird.
yeah, even Full Spectrum can't keep their wiring straight.
My parents were a little peeved when they found out I was showing them my K40 and the tube and the power supply in mine, and then showed them. I'd be like, okay, now look at this one, and they're like, it's like the same. I was like,
Yeah, this is
They
a
said
$300 machine, and this is
you
a
paid
$5,000
$5,000.
machine, and the case is 4% fancier. I can't even say fancy. It's not even fancier.
It is a little better built. It's got a bigger cut area by default, but like
The lid is actually worse.
We had it was like a $15,000 full spectrum, and it didn't work for crap either. So
needs to
it's
get
more-
cohesion on there. You need to put that sticker on there.
Oh,
My-
it got
my-
passed on. We don't even have it anymore. so.
Someone said, yeah, Surprise and Delight, which I think is Kevin. He's a good customer of ours. He's been a long-time customer. I think he actually sent us his CR10S control box because he had it way before we were going to get ours. He's an awesome guy. But yeah, he's kind of on point. So I like teaching tech. I got nothing against him. But like you said, he's helped with some of the videos or incomplete steps or things not needed, which I think that kind of hits the nail on the head. Like I give the guy credit, he's doing videos, but it's kind of like sometimes he's all over the place. Sometimes he omits things and it just adds more confusion to the community. Which is one of my pet peeves. I try to not put out wrong information. Like, if you guys go in the Facebook groups and someone's like posted an issue, which is like, okay, obviously you need to level your damn bed. And there's people like, your extruder is messed up and you need to change your nozzle on your hot end. It's like, oh my God, it's a simple fix. Stop sending them down a rabbit hole of despair and sadness. Like,
I think all problems would be solved. Like you have a $200 Chinese 3D printer. You get a $200 Bondtech extruder, a $100 E3D hot end, a $100-something 32-bit board, and a new 3D printer, and then all your problems are solved. Just, you buy all the upgrade parts, and then you buy an Ultimaker.
I mean,
or a Lulzbot.
I mean, you could get you could get our hot end and Titan if you want a longer warranty and like 1/3 of the price.
Yeah, all that. So yeah, but you buy the cheap 3D printer, you buy all the upgrade parts, and then you buy something that actually works. Like a printer that actually works, and then you put everything else to the side, and problem solved.
Oh, someone in chat's got a. I'm gonna plug your cohesion stuff here. He's like, I have a full spectrum, so I'm assuming you're asking because their software is garbage. Cohesion3d.com. I'm gonna post it here.
Check the forum.cohesion3d.com because some people are doing those conversions, or just contact us and we'll walk you through it
and
or tell you what you need.
Christopher, if you want, I have Ray's personal cell phone number if you want me to send that to you.
So
you know what I charge for direct support, right?
really fast towards Ray. You said buy a Lulzbot. You talk about what this thing came off of? Because they have their own problems. You see that wire running to the fan? It touched the front end, and it melted right through and shorted. So quality?
Yeah, Max, don't you know a guy that I think I'm friends with him too. I'm not gonna say his name, but you know a guy that you're closer friends with him. He's more of an acquaintance to me, but I BS with him. But you know a guy that works for Lulzbot, and the stuff he's told me that goes on there is kind of crazy.
Don't support.
I know a
Lulzbot.
number of people that work at Lulzbot.
Don't support them. That company is pants on head stupid.
Well, they were using a Wade's extruder for like, since
Until very recently.
Yeah, until like 6 months ago, right?
And they're like, "Hey, look at this tight and narrow. This is a brand new thing." It's like, guys, this has been out for like 2 years.
This thing is heavy, and it's like, I don't know what.
I mean, I had 2 of their minis, and they were okay at best, but they're $1,500 or something like that. They're just not worth the money. I didn't think they were when we got them in like 2016 or something like that.
No, the only thing I will say, because obviously like a lot of our stuff is higher priced, and that's because we have to cover support costs. It's the same thing with them. They literally have a 24-hour hotline where you can call and get help with them. Now I have the funny story though I had is one of the suppliers that I'm friends with and I do business with and other stuff. Apparently they sell Lulzbot printers, and apparently Lulzbot, they had a customer that bought a printer from them and was bothering Lulzbot so much they told him that they will pay him to take the printer back so they don't have to deal with this guy anymore because he's calling so much.
Is that your policy too, Tim?
I've actually refunded customers that like there's been nothing wrong with the product and they're just not listening to what we're telling them to do. And I'm just like, here's your money back. You're no longer a customer. You don't have to send it back. Like sometimes as a business, sometimes you got to be like, it's not worth it. Like it's not worth it. And some people like, I've saved a lot of, sales and reputation and stuff, but some people it's just not worth the effort because they're just, you got people that just don't like, they're not listening. If they're asking you for help and then you're giving them a solution and then they're arguing with you about the solution because I'm an electrical engineer. Okay.
Hey, I'm not an electrical engineer for the record.
I just play one on TV.
Yeah. You're like the Dr. House of electrical engineers, right?
I'll tell you right now, if you send us a support ticket and you preface it by saying I am X engineer, it's just gonna be, it's a running joke because every time someone comes in, God dang
you
it,
will be ridiculed
Chris,
in the internal channel of these things.
Okay, Chris, I'm sorry that Nightbot was a little. So Nightbot, Chris was just chatting, and Nightbot apparently was just like you're talking too much. So I just removed Nightbot. I want to apologize for that. So I'm gonna put him.
Hi, Nightbot.
Remove him.
I know an ex-Google engineer.
So, but the thing is, like, it's really rude when you're asking someone for help and then you're arguing with them. It's like, well, obviously you have all the answers. Why are you contacting us? Or I have people that I had a guy that was out of warranty quite a while, like almost a year. And then told my tech guy because he asked him to confirm his order information, which is standard policy for here. And then was like, just send this ticket to Tim because I don't want to waste my time with you. I was like, yeah,
That's nice.
I mean, we help people outside of warranty all the time, but if you're going to take that tone with people, like, to be honest with you, my tech support guys have probably more experience with troubleshooting our sensors now than I do because they handle that stuff. That's why we have them. Like, and then he's on the blacklist for our store, so he won't be buying anything from us anymore.
Yeah, I had one of my earliest customers bought one of our boards 2.5 years ago and just was getting around to installing it last week. And he was like, yeah, it's not doing this thing. And we solved his problem. And then he goes and posts on Facebook later, I'm posting this in a general Facebook group because the Cohesion 3D and the Lightburn forums suck. And I, Ray, reply to him on Facebook, like, I only have one post from you on the Cohesion forum, and you indicated in that post that your problem was solved, by the way, on a 2.5-year-old board.
Right.
We helped you with that.
I had a 2.5-year-old board that was
hey, shut up.
when you came here. And then I
gave that board good life
for a new board from you because I want to support you. Because
And now your laser is quieter because of Trinamic drivers. Say thank you.
And it works. It works. I could have put Trinamic drivers on the board I had, to be fair.
Not in an official capacity. Not in any sort of official support capacity. No,
Oh,
no.
oh yeah.
But anyways, no, and then this guy goes off on, oh, you took too long to reply to me on the forum, and you were helping all the other customers, and I know you have a huge disdain for us stupid customers or whatever. And I'm like, I didn't reply after that, but I gave you support on a 2.5-year-old product. I want you to go call Dell or HP or whatever other computer manufacturer about a computer that you've had that's out of warranty, and let them tell you how much it's going to cost you for them to keep talking to you.
That's what I don't get. Like, I don't get why it's like such a foreign concept. Like, okay, I have a Samsung phone. It has a 1-year warranty. Why am I going to go like yell and scream at Samsung if I contact them out of warranty? That's how it works. Things have warranties. They have periods.
Yeah.
Like,
but then he had other questions that he never actually posted to our forum. And then he went on Facebook and said that we did not provide him support, that we did not give him an answer on the forum to a question that he never asked on said forum. I'm like, I can't answer a question that you never asked.
Yeah, that's what this same guy did. The guy that was out of warranty. He was like, well, getting help from you guys was like pulling teeth. And I'm like looking through our ticket system. I was like, I have one other thing that you sent in January of this year. Mind you, he bought the product back in June, received it in June. We have a 90-day warranty. And when you're in warranty, you get support. And he was helped in January with his questions. And then he sent in like this like 5-paragraph thing that made no sense. Like he was using like terms that had nothing to do with like it was ridiculous. But it's like, what's the actual problem? Like he sent in this long paragraph and is not like really explaining the full problem. Like I kind of got what he was saying. But then when Max sent him, hey, what's your order number? Send me pictures of your setup to make sure everything. So we asked people for pictures. If people contacted us for support, the thing is ask for the order number if they didn't provide it, and get pictures so we can make sure it's mounted correctly, make sure their wire management's done correctly, and send your configuration.h file so we can review it. Like, and then he sent them that response, and the guy replies back, "You didn't read anything. I can't believe it. Like your guys' support is terrible. I doubt Tim's gonna even." Or then he was like, I don't want to waste I don't want to waste my time. I want to talk to Tim. And then he sent him the other reply that basically says, hey, you're out of warranty. You can either purchase support or, if you're out of warranty, like we offer people a 30% discount on a brand new kit, whether they bought it 2 years ago or 6 months ago, so they don't have to pay full price for another kit if they're out of warranty. We also sell replacement sensors if for some reason their sensor failed or it got damaged. Like, so I try to take care of people. Like, we don't have to do that. Like, I'm not going to get a 30% off a new phone from Samsung if this phone dies outside of warranty, like, and the same thing, like I've got like, it's like bigger purchase items. Like this is a $60, $70 product. I've got a car that I paid $20,000 for that has a warranty, and I can't do anything. GM will tell me to go screw myself. Well, you're out of warranty. That's it. It's your problem now. Like I don't understand why there's this foreign concept of warranty periods.
Yeah. So yeah, again, we help people from 2.5 years ago, within reason.
We help people outside of warranty being reasonable people, as long as they're being like, you will get good customer service as long as you're being a good customer. If you're being a complete douchebag, I'm going to stick to the terms of service, which says 90 days done. Like if you're being a dick and you're outside of warranty, I'm not going to break my back to make you happy, because you're never going to be happy. Those kind of people are never going to be happy, and you're better off just not selling to them ever again, because they're always going to be a problem.
So it's kind of that notion of, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, blah, blah, blah. Customers always write stuff.
I don't subscribe.
I worked in retention too. But, people take that the wrong way, and they think that, they're in the right and they're entitled to, I'm supporting your company, blah, blah, blah. I don't care what your policies are, help me. And it's just.
Go away now.
Now here's our policy is really simple. If we screw something up, I will do whatever we can and eat shit on an order to make it right. If we screw something up, whether it's me or one of my other guys, we will fix it. Like, period. If we screwed something up, we own the shit out of it. Like, I fired people for screwing up things, like even small things repeatedly. Like, you know, a couple of things, whatever, we'll eat shit on it. We tell them what they screwed up. But if people are screwing up stuff over and over again, I don't keep them around because I want the reputation of our company to be that. And it's really simple. If you talk to us like a decent human being, whether you're in warranty or not, we're going to help you. Like, that's how it is. But if you come out of the gate being a complete asshole, like, I'm going to stick to our policies, and that's that. Like, if you're in warranty and you're being a dick, we're still going to help you. But if you're outside of warranty and being a dick, like, good luck.
I have two things on this. So the first one is similar to what you were saying. It's I have a very firm belief that correct expectations need to be set on both sides. So if a person is either being rude or just not being helpful with, you know, providing the information needed so that we can support them, I believe in correcting these behaviors early on. So similarly, like, I have a person inquiring right now about, like, they have a different laser cutter and they want to know if we have a product that will upgrade it. So, like, I wrote him like a nice paragraph, like, you know, I need to see this. Can you send me pictures of your control electronics? This other thing. You can post to the forum here with your pictures and we'll take a look. And the answer is going to be probably yes. And you're just going to need to do a little more rewiring. So if you're up for, you know, like, I gave him a lot of information. And his reply is like one fragment of a sentence. And like, I also asked him, like, you know, show me the pictures of your control electronics, right? And his reply is like one fragment of a sentence with like the year that he bought the laser and the company that made the laser. And internally I'm thinking, did you read anything I just wrote? And then I was like, I'm sorry, you literally haven't told me anything to go on. Can you please post to our forum with pictures of your control electronics? And then he replies to the email with pictures of with like 3 shitty pictures of the controller. And I'm like, okay, so if this is how this is going before you've spent money with me, I don't really see this getting better. So I haven't replied to that yet, but I'm like, I try to be a nice person. That's the other part that I want to circle to, is like, I try to be a nice person. The thing, and like, I really like helping people, despite what people may think of me. I really want to be helpful. The problem is, every time I'm a nice person, it comes back to bite me in the ass.
Yeah, people
every single time.
Like,
how do you not become a cynical bastard over time when every time you try to do something nice, it comes back and backfires? And here's the thing, I actually think I'm still doing pretty well. I just vent it all in sarcasm internally and then still end up being a reasonable person in public, I think, sometimes.
I'm just laughing because I'm looking at Scott's video feed and I just know the kind of stuff he deals with the Marlin, just Marlin in general. Like, in the issue.
Yeah, you want to talk about which issues thread on GitHub?
we kind of, I've put up a little bit of a wall there, so hopefully it'll help. Let's see.
Hey Scott, my ANET A8 is completely like skewed, and this is obviously a firmware problem. You need to help me.
Your firmware broke my printer.
Don't get that much.
Oh my god!
The easy ABL broke my CR10.
Oh my god! Yeah, we have people. Doug. That's a running joke with my brother Doug. He always gets a kick out of it. Like, I put the firmware on, and now my printer doesn't work at all.
Yeah, no, we made forums for that now. We got Facebook, we got Discord. Just, you know, go somewhere else. But yeah,
you mean it's not the issues thread on GitHub anymore?
We're trying to make it actually work like an issue thread.
Yeah, I had somebody submit an issue, and the thing is, so I have our GitHub integrated with we use an internal like chat task management system called Glip that Ring Central provides, and they have integration with GitHub. So we have a channel or a team, they call it, for firmware development, where we all talk about like different features, like what bugs need to be fixed, that kind of stuff, patches, and we create tests and everything. So we're actually somewhat organized with our Marlin firmware branch. And so like every time someone opens an issue,
Tim, slightly organized. That's hilarious.
Well, that's why I hired
I'm not
Aaron.
buying it.
Aaron's been keeping me organized.
Yeah, okay.
He sorted out my big bin of screws by size and all the nuts and everything into these little organizers and then labeled them. And then he thought it'd be funny. He put the ones that contained all the M3 nuts. Instead of labeling it M3 nuts, he labeled it Tim's nuts because they're small. So
This is why we warned for children to not watch this, right?
I mean, technically they are mine, but so anyways, you guys totally just derailed this. Oh, so anyways, so when someone posts an issue, it pulls the text and everything from the original issue. And then the guy edited it like 3 times because he posted as a general question because I'm pretty sure he's not a customer, but then he edited it to sound like he was a customer. So then I replied, send a support ticket in. We don't do support on GitHub with your order number, and I haven't heard from him. So, and it was like,
Go ahead, sorry.
It definitely sounds like it was like something with his USB cable or computer, but either way, like I'm not doing support on GitHub. Like it's for issues with the firmware, not with your printer or products.
So I can take that a step further. For our laser software, we have the documentation for the software hosted in a GitHub forum. I'm sorry, in a GitHub repo.
Repository. Yeah.
Repository. Yes. The documentation for the software, right? People will go into the issues of the documentation repo and ask support questions there. Like,
is there a way to just turn off the issues queue? Because that's what I'm
I've been telling the developer that we need to do this for like the last year, and we might finally do it. There is a way for sure, but like, how far removed is that? It's like we have a forum, we have email, and yet you are making. And also, here's the fun part: it's the people that do this, they don't make one issue. They have like 3 separate inquiries simultaneously. So just there's 3 new issues, 1 per question that pops up over time. And we're like, this is a repository for the documentation. There is even a page that tells you where all the places to contact us are. This repo issues is not one of those places. What is reading? Yeah, well, so anyways, I'm really hoping that we've turned that off by now.
Go ahead, let Max. Go ahead, Max.
Ma'am, this is a Wendy's.
Like, here's the thing.
What?
I can tell, look, and my support guys can tell too, when people clearly have not read the documentation, and then it's funny because we'll be like, you need to read the guide, and then they get pissed off and be like, are you calling me stupid because I didn't how do you know I didn't read the guide? Because the questions you're asking, because they're covered in the installation steps, and then they get pissed off.
How do you know? I made an educated guess. Something. Okay, I'm going to stop myself from finishing that sentence. But okay.
But it's just, I mean, this is for those of you watching, this is the kind of stuff we deal with. Like sometimes I know I come off like kind of a dick, but you guys don't know what's going on behind the scenes and the kind of crap that me and my team have to deal with. And the funny thing is, Samantha is like the nicest person I met when I met her, but now that she's been having to deal with our customers, she's definitely become
customers in general.
She's definitely become a little more jaded, but we still maintain the mindset of that, especially if we screw something up, we make it right. It's that simple. And like, if you're being polite, I don't care if you're in warranty or out of warranty, like we're going to take care of the inquiry. But if you're coming out of the gate yelling and screaming at us, especially when it's an issue with your cheap Chinese piece of shit printer that you didn't build correctly, like, I'm sorry, like this is not how you get help. Like, we have policies in place.
I don't know how many times Tim has called me and asked, like, hey, how should I deal with this issue? Just to kind of, brick wall some things. But yeah, there is a bias for wanting to help people, but these issues really do just kind of wear you down over time. And it's like you said, Ray, there's always those people who want to kind of, how do you keep going whenever, every time you do something good, these people are just like, they don't show you any appreciation or any sort of thanks for what you have done for them.
Or even just being polite.
Fun one for you.
I don't care about thanks.
What?
I don't care if a customer thanks us. I just want to be treated like a human being and not being screamed and yelled at. When 80% of the time it's not even a problem with the product. It's a problem with their machine.
We're trying to help, but screaming and yelling, just no.
Exactly. So I have a few different ways to answer this stuff. So the first one is, we want to help you. The easier that you make it for us to actually help you, the more we will do that. The harder you make it for us to do our job, the less we're going to feel inclined to do it. Yeah, that's one thing. The other thing is you kind of have to adopt a certain mindset, which is you're not going to hear the positives a lot, right? So by nature of it being a support ticket system and a support forum, you're going to hear things when people have problems. So as unfortunate as it can be to a newcomer, as in somebody that hasn't trained themselves on this mentality for years, it's like silence is good. Silence means that people are not having an issue.
Right.
Yeah, but then you go to trade shows and you meet some existing customers and they're like, oh yeah, it's been working great for a year straight. I'm like, oh, that's nice to hear. This is one of the reasons that I like going to trade shows, just because that or interacting with the customers on Facebook. Or like there's a created with group on Facebook where we see people post about making the things. And I know who my customers are. So, they're using the Lightburn software and they're posting in the created with Lightburn Facebook group. And I'm like, they only have the K40 and they bought my board and they're using Lightburn. That means that they're running my board. Okay. And they're posting stuff. That must mean that everything's working.
And they're not complaining.
Yeah.
We do occasionally get tickets that people, and for those of you that do this, I really appreciate it because it may sound stupid, but it does, like, especially when we're having a really shitty week, like, it really does make a difference when people send us just literally, we've had tickets that are just like, hey, thanks. Like, you've made my life easier. Like, even like people that aren't even customers, like, hey, thanks for doing the firmware. Like, I have no idea how to configure Marlin, but you made it, a 5-minute process for me. Like, thank you, or hey, your ABL kit, made my printer usable now. Like, stuff like that is good to hear. And like, I have to tell myself and even our other guys too, like, it's like you said, it's support. So that's where issues come through. You don't have a lot of people doing praises. And, it's the same thing with like, product feedback and stuff. Like, the people with issues are the loudest. The people that are having problems, are not, or people that are not having problems are not usually posting about it. Like, to give you guys an idea, we ship 500 to 600 sensor kits a freaking month. Like, and we handle maybe, in terms of tickets, maybe 5 to 6 tickets a day on the actual kits. And the problems end up not even being with the actual product. We just went through, I have a bin right here. These are all returns that were supposedly bad that all work. Like, this is just from a month. Like, and then that's why we have our B stock stuff, which is stuff that works that, the customer swears it didn't work, but then we put it on our machine here and it prints fine. Like my Ender 5 live stream, I literally took a kit that was in the mail that a customer said didn't work. I didn't test it. Literally just had it sit on my desk. We were busy. So I was like, just send them out another kit. I'll test it later. Put it on the printer. We're still working fine.
So there's an interesting thing, and not to just keeping this negative thing, but wonder how many of these people complaining are just trying to schmooze something free.
Well, what is it that they're going to get? They're going to be out time while they get a replacement.
Some people,
they're not going to get a benefit. They're not going to get a discount or credit or free merchandise. They're just going to have to send the old one back. They might have to pay return shipping depending on exactly how that situation works out, and then they're just going to be out time while they get a new one. But placebo effect, it's a thing.
Well, and like Kevin, who goes as surprise and delight in our chat here, he said, "Are they a pull? I could have bought it from someone else card." To me, I replied, "Go ahead, I don't care." Like, if I lose one sale, I don't care. Like, if they're going to be that, like you said, Ray, if you're this much of a problem before you've even bought anything, do I really want them as a customer? Like, and it may sound harsh, and some people might think that it's crappy for me to say that, but if that pisses you off, then you're probably one of those customers.
It's not going to get better from here. Like, it's one thing, like, when you're new to this. Like, I was new to this, and I was working 16 hours a day, and support email or forum post came in, and 3 seconds later my phone vibrated, and 3 seconds later I'm there typing a response. And I did that for a solid 1 or 2 years, and then I burned out completely, and I had to rethink how I did all these things. But like, I was bending over backwards. Somebody couldn't install the previous software, and like, okay, fire up TeamViewer, I'll be with you in 20 minutes, and I'll install software for you.
That's kind of how I was when I was starting out. I was like, and then it led to me not getting anything done. Like, I was just doing that. And the other part is, The thing is, like he said, or they expect Amazon to give returns or refunds without any explanations. So we have on our terms of service, you have to go through troubleshooting, because most of the time it's not a problem with the product. It's an issue with the printer, which we do state in our terms of service that's not our responsibility to fix. But the reality is, if you're being a decent person, we do help you fix your printer issues. And we write a lot of articles to fix printer issues and direct you towards those articles to fix those issues. And the thing with Amazon is they don't really actually give any support. They just give out refunds. So your issue is still not even resolved. Even if they give you a refund, you have your money back, but you still don't have a working product. So is that really good customer service? Or they're literally just telling you, we don't want to deal with you, here, take your money and fuck off. Like,
if that customer's mindset is where the win is simply from the complaining and the negative mentality, then yes, that is a win for them, because some people just live to complain.
And thank you, Eddie donated $5. He said, people are idiots, have a drink on me. That's good, because I've already went through 3 beers. It's funny that we're talking about this and Griffin popped back in, because this is something I joked around with him about, having him just sell the boards directly and then having to deal with all the customers.
Yeah, I quickly realized that wasn't realistic.
Yeah, Griffin has heard some of my stories over the last years. We have a true fondness for our customers, right, Griff?
Oh yes,
they're amazing people.
Well, I used to help out on Ray's Google Plus group a little bit back in the day, doing some of his, not necessarily customer support, I guess, but it was really interesting. Yeah, something like that. But it was interesting to see.
Tier 2-ish.
Yeah, these people were just even mean to me sometimes, and I'm like, I'm like not even affiliated like with the company online, so why are you getting mad at me? I'm just trying to help you out. But some people will never be happy,
Well, and the thing is too, I've witnessed a lot of good people in the community that were, like you're saying, Ray, people that just want to help out. Like, I'm one of those people, but I've had to scale back for my own sanity, to be completely honest. And I focus on helping my customers. I focus on helping my customers and people I know that are good people that I know aren't, dicks. And the thing is, I've watched too many people that were very active in the communities, helping out, solving problems, helping people out, not getting a dime out of it, be literally bullied out of these groups to the point where they've deleted Facebook accounts, because they just keep getting
I know what
harassed.
you're talking about.
It's multiple people. It's not. I think you're talking about you're thinking about the 3D printer for profit guy, Chris Elkins. Is that who you're thinking about, or someone else?
No, I'm not thinking about anybody in particular. I know multiple people that I've
same
seen
here.
this happen
Like, because
with.
they were
Yeah.
like, especially so, like, I don't know what it is about like the TiVo Tornado group, or TiVo, not just TiVo Tornado, but the TiVo groups in general. Like, that customer base is really toxic. Like, I don't even hang out in there anymore, or help out, because like, I don't know what it is about that brand, but the kind of people that are in that group are just very toxic, and I just can't spend time in there anymore, because there's just people that are just super pissed off all the time, and then they'll send you private messages. And like, I've seen screenshots of messages sent to these people that left, because they're getting pictures. There's like someone that posted a print or something, and they're just trying to be like, hey, like, cool, I'm happy I got my machine working, the print's good. And there's people sending messages swearing, give me the fucking profile, bro. Like, why don't you give me your profile? Give me your profile. And then they're just like, fuck it, I'm out. Like, like, this guy just posted a picture of his print. He's getting fucking harassed for a print profile. Like, are you serious?
Yeah. So I was actually making 2 separate points. Sorry, Max, 2 seconds here, and then I will shut up firmly. So Tim, I was talking about my personal experience where the instant support was unsustainable. I burned out, and I couldn't keep doing that, and I had to scale back. But also something completely different that I think I've just forgotten. So Max, you're up while I rethink what I was going to say.
So yeah, with that entitlement thing, Tim knows that. So I'm more on the whole like industrial side of like designing things and making things for like, solving solutions through 3D printing. So we had made a carburetor adapter for this, for a motorcycle. And this guy basically asked for the STL, everyone asked for the STL, but this entitlement culture kind of extends across all these different, like, as people mod as they want to do things, there's this entitlement culture, and this guy kept asking for this STL for this adapter. And finally, we got mad at him. And Tim, do you remember the STL that we sent him?
Yeah, was that the Chode one? The Chode Master? You can show it, I don't care.
Tim sent me this.
So,
Max-
I've been reading a number of these 3D printing groups on Facebook, and I can't understand why people keep asking about St. Louis in the comments when somebody shows a picture of a print. It just doesn't make sense. Like when somebody asks a question, they'll often sign it like Tia in all caps, and I don't know who this Tia chick is, but like she must know everything. And like I just don't like. It doesn't make sense, but apparently there's this lady out there that just knows everything about every concept in the world.
And before you even ask.
Okay. The funny thing is, so I think Scott and I originally bonded over, so when we started selling our ABL kits, I used to bundle our firmware branch, and this is before Unified was even a thing. I used to compile like 50 different versions for every different sensor mount and variation. Before I got smart and actually came up with the Unified idea. But he would like people were saying that we were violating the GPL because we were selling our pre-set up Marlin with the kit and it was only for customers. So we had one that was free on our site that was just for stock machines. And then people were getting all up in arms and trying to, tell us that we were violating the code and then complaining to Scott about it. And then Scott and I were talking and he's like, you guys are abiding by the license. You're giving your customers the source code, right? I was like, yeah, they get it. He's like, well, what's the problem here? And I remember the distinct quote. He was actually flattered. He's like, I'm flattered that you basically did to Marlin what Red Hat did to Linux, is that you packaged it up and made it a commercial product, which is what we were doing. And that's what we did. And I went to the Unified and just made it all open because honestly, it's way less work on us because trying to, manage like passwords on the files and all this other stuff. But there was like, where I'm going with that is the entitlement of someone didn't want to pay us for our time that we spent. They didn't want to put in the time to learn how to configure Marlin, but they felt entitled to it just because they knew we had it.
And that is,
so I
that's
remember
one of the big.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that is one of the major things about open source is that you can sort of, if you are giving everything that you put into your product back to, say, the main project, you can rightfully put all your support as far as firmware goes to the main project because you're using it. So, that is a big savings. It's one of the things that I don't know if it's considered much, but.
Yeah. Well, FKS does that for SmoothieWare. FKS has the S-Base board, and they don't support it. There's also some hardware problems. And then people go to the official SmoothieWare peoples and to try to get support there, and it eats up their time. And there's a big political thing about how this is not cool. And
I suppose if there's hardware issues that could be confused with firmware issues and so forth.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is
the above altogether.
Yeah, but the thing is too, like we support our own branch. Like we don't push anything off on the project. Like, and we make sure if we come up with something new that's useful, we push it back to the main code base. Like that the main thing was my little hackery with slimming down all the LCD menus to fit on these 1284p boards, which actually got merged into the main Marlin branch, which is a very useful feature. Like
you just uncommented thermal runway, and all of a sudden you have enough space to actually fit it on the smaller chipset, right?
You mean commented it out?
Exactly. Yeah, you removed it with the thing. You uncommented the uncommenting. No, you uncomment the if not defined section. That crap.
That's right. Fortunately, we have the stuff that's always there. You can't disable unless you go to great lengths. But if you want the extra thermal protection, you can turn that off. Don't keep it if you can. That's what I say.
There's no reason not to have.
All right, guys, I'm ducking out.
Everybody, keep your thermal
we're
protection.
gonna wrap this up a little bit, anyways. Yeah. So Noah, take it easy. Have a good night. Thanks for dropping by.
Yeah, I'm gonna
have fun with the green and black death trap there.
I have MOSFETs. It will go in eventually.
Yeah, he's running his heated bed directly off that ANAT board. He has no external MOSFET, and he has a stock power supply. I made him put
He
a
does
fan on
not
it while he
need a
had it here.
space heater. His room is going to be nice and toasty.
I have it somewhere. I have a bag of 2 MOSFETs, which
Oh, geez.
eventually will go on there. It's a work in progress, but yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. I'll catch you again another time.
All right, night, Noah.
So
I'm
I
gonna head out.
remembered
Sorry, Ray.
I remembered the second point that I was going to make, which was, so we were talking about how the instant support that both Tim and I and probably a number of other entrepreneurs did earlier on in our businesses and how that became not sustainable. But then it's different. So when you're new to this, you think that you can do those things, right? But it's part of like the whole being naive to business, right? Or like being new to having a customer facing product or a customer facing business, right? So you think that it's going to be okay. You know, oh, this person's asking a lot of pre-sales questions and the conversation's a little hard, but I remember just, I just need to close the sale. I need the money. I remember this when I was getting started, and yeah, they're probably going to be a little extra support, but I wasn't thinking of that at the time. I was just doing that. And then here's the thing that you learn as you do this for some time. It's only going to get worse. Okay, so they're already being a pain now and they haven't even bought anything yet. Okay, you've answered all their pre-sales questions. They've made the purchase. In retail, this was great. Hey, you closed the sale. Great. They're just going to come back a week later and return it. That's the hard truth. Yeah, so anyways, so they've made the sale. Oh, they're now going to have more actual tech support questions, an order of magnitude more than the pre-sales questions. And then they're still going to be dissatisfied, and then they're going to want to return, or they're just going to open a chargeback against you for no reason
don't even
at
get me
all.
started on chargebacks.
Yeah, I'm not happy about those at all. I'm considering taking serious action against people that open chargebacks against me, like to the point of claims or litigation, just because I am that much of a spiteful person, or rather, I'm more of an altruistic person.
I know what
want
you
it
mean.
right.
I'm the same way. I'm the kind of person that'll burn $2,000-3,000 in legal fees to get someone back for $200.
Yep.
Like just to
I'm
make
considering it.
It's the principle of the matter. And we did add a section to our TOS that it literally says the gist of it is basically if you open a fraudulent chargeback, like it wasn't an accident, if you intend to actually defraud us to try to get product for free, you're responsible for all of our legal fees and our time billed at $100 an hour, and they've actually gone down quite a bit. So
right, actually, Ray, you said something really, really smart earlier that we implement a lot in business, and that's setting expectations. And Tim, that pretty much says it. The fact that you're getting results for that, just saying, hey, if you do this, we're going to pursue you. So honestly, yeah, it is a very good thing to kind of, put your cards on the table, set expectations.
Yeah, I'm a huge proponent of that, and also the corrective measures that I was alluding to earlier before we went on the huge tangent of customer bashing. It's you are being a problem. If you would like to continue being helped and whatnot, then you need to adjust yourself. Otherwise, please don't become a customer.
I don't understand.
Put it back in the box and send it back, or whatever, or you're on your own.
Oh, I gotta start. So this guy called our phone line. So man, they answered the call, and again, it ended up being nothing wrong with the product, and the guy was just being a complete asshole to her. Okay, and she's the owner of the company. Her and I are both owners of the company. She's actually 2% more owner than me, so she's the majority owner.
Women owned.
Yeah, woman owned and minority. She is actually Hispanic. Her last name was Chavez before she married me.
Oh.
But the funny thing is he's like yelling, screaming at her, and she's like, just send the product back. And he's like, I can't believe you would tell a customer to just send a product back. I'm going to call back on Monday and talk to the owner. And she's like, you're okay. How can I help you? And the guy just was like, well, fine. Like, and it kind of pisses me off because it's like, was he talking to her like that because she was a woman? Like, which is total bullshit. Like, she's a fucking owner of the company. Like, you're being a disrespectful asshole I would have told them the same thing. You know, it's funny when people go, why don't I talk to the owner? And I tell them the same exact thing, because we have expectations, and all my guys, we all give the same information. You're not going to get a different story or special treatment from me or my other guys. Like, it's all equal. We do not play favorites here. Like, I don't care, you know, I don't care if a customer spent, you know, $60 or $6,000 with us. Everybody gets treated the same. And I've literally told customers, like, I can't do this, because if I do it for you, I have to do it for everybody else.
Yep. I actually will take that to even higher extent, which is I don't run sales. I believe in that thing that you said so much that I believe that everybody should pay the same price. And when somebody asks me for a discount, I'm like, no, we don't run sales. We don't have promotions. We don't do any of that. And because of this, you can be assured that everybody pays the same.
We occasionally have, there's some discount codes floating around there, and they're mostly codes I created to, you know, basically thank the groups that helped us get started. So like the CR10 group, there's a code for that for people in there, you know, because that group helped us build that. I also have some funny ones too, like from people email us asking for help with their BL Touch. We tell them
27.
We don't tell them we support the BL Touch, because I don't use the BL Touch. We don't have a single machine here with the BL Touch. But I was like, well, you might want to contact where you bought that from, or go on the community groups. And when you get tired of playing with it, here's a code for 10% off. And the code is better ABL.
Yep. Yeah, no, I do no advertising, no marketing. I haven't made a single demo video, which we were joking about before this started. I should really do that. Everything that my company has been is just word of mouth and whatever shitty SEO I have. Like, I don't care about these things. I should, but I don't. Like, I haven't even listed the new board on eBay. The previous board that we had, that was on eBay, and that probably contributed to a non-zero amount of sales. I don't understand why people pay 10% more to buy it off eBay. But yeah.
The buyer protection, so they can charge you back easier?
Yeah, maybe, but they still have PayPal. PayPal will just give them the money back. You know, it's all good. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, no, I have done nothing to promote the new board. Nothing.
Well, that's another thing
there.
too. We have a lot of places that actually have decent like reach and stuff if we, you know, asking for things or discounts or promotions, and it would be good in terms of sales. But some of them are so big, whereas if we went through with them, we probably wouldn't be able to handle the order load that came in. And I'm trying to maintain, you know, a good customer experience, and not overload the people we have working for us, because that could be just as detrimental as, you know, no growth.
Yep.
Which a lot of people, because a lot of people forget about that. You know, Smith always reminds me of, you know, most small businesses fail within the first 5 years because they grew too quick. I mean, look at Maker Geeks. The downfall of Maker Geeks was they grew too fast and they had piss poor management. You know, and that's why we have, I wouldn't say we have a high turnover here, because we have guys that have been with us for a long time. But you have to toe the line, and you have to maintain the standards that I have set, which, to be honest, are kind of high, you know, but that's the reality of how I want this company to run. Like, I don't want it to be I don't want shit to be half-assed. So if somebody's screwing up and they aren't correcting their actions, then we have to, you know, eliminate them from the team. And it sucks. Like, it really sucks firing people. But I can't jeopardize, you know, at the very core of it, I can't jeopardize my wife and I's livelihood. And then, you know, at even further then is if we have one person screwing up over and over again, ruining the reputation, it jeopardizes everybody else's jobs here.
As I phrase it, the alternative is worse.
Right.
Firing someone is bad. Keeping them around is worse.
Right. You know, and I'm not gonna name names, but it sucked to have to let one of the guys go that we recently let go, but we're still finding stuff that was screwed up that he did, and still having to correct it. And like I said, if we screw up something here, whether it's me or someone else, we own it. So, you know, we've been making things right with the customers, but it shouldn't have happened in the first place, you know, and it's just stupid stuff too. So, but it's there's that funny saying, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed, but it's kind of how I feel. Awkward silence.
Well, I shut up for once.
Right. So yeah, we had that.
Love you guys. Love you all.
I love you too, Scott. Even
Love
when
you.
you break the firmware.
We love you,
Yeah.
Scott.
Yeah, you guys are the best. Engineering, loving, living.
Hey Scott, so when I have a customer email me about how to configure Marlin 2.0 on a cohesion board, I just give them your phone number, right?
Absolutely.
I
have a URL for them.
I'm kind of digging Scott's Christmas lights in the background. I used to put up Christmas lights everywhere, like when I was younger, and I kind of miss them. I want to have them like running around the ceiling.
It's an interim thing to kind of give the place a little atmosphere until I get real furniture. But hey, it works.
Well, do you guys have anything else you want to add before we wrap this up? I don't know. It doesn't say how long we've been streaming for on this window I'm looking at here. It's been a while. It's been good. I hope everybody enjoyed the chat. I hope the people that are going to rewatch this, enjoy it too. It kind of gives you a little peek into the back of what's going on here and in other projects. And, I like being transparent as much as I can without, giving away too many of our secrets. So.
Yeah, no, for Griffin and myself, yeah, our day is pretty much a combination of talking about Trinamics and customer bashing. That's pretty much it. Like, if you want to be an electrical engineer in a customer-facing business, those are the two things.
Wow, I feel like I've been part of that now.
Scott, you're always welcome.
Hey, all right.
Scott's always fun to have around. He always has he always has something to input, even when he thinks he doesn't. He always comes up with something.
Not intentionally, even. That's the even cooler part. He just does without even trying necessarily. Just being Scott.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. I don't have anything to talk about right now, which is saying something. It's been productive and fun. Griffin, I'm glad you dropped in to chat.
Yeah, thanks for letting me join.
Yeah, no problem. I'm sure it's nice to have a break from all your homework for a little bit here.
Oh yeah, I'll be getting up early to do it. Don't worry.
Last minute helps out, right? Helps you get through it. So,
exactly.
All right. So Scott, you're good. Griffin, doesn't sound like you got anything else to add. Max, you got anything you want to add before we wrap this up?
I like turtles.
It's an old meme, but it checks out. So
no, nothing really. I've just been back and forth tonight. Yeah, I wish I would have been here earlier just to kind of see what all you guys have been discussing, but it's kind of popped in whenever I got a chance to sit down.
Yeah, no, I know you're busy too. So anyways, thank you for everybody who dropped by to watch, and thank you to everybody who has been participating in here: Scott, Ray, Max, Griffin, Noah, and then Aaron who dipped out a little bit. So, but I hope you guys enjoyed this. And yeah, so we'll be doing these. I'm gonna commit to bi-weekly, maybe more. If there's more, then that's just a bonus. But they'll be more organized, and I'll give everybody more heads up this time. This was literally all last minute because I wanted to stream and I didn't have any more printers to review. So, but it's been fun. So
I can send you all my broken ones for next time.
Yeah. So I'm gonna stop the broadcast here. You guys can stay on for a sec because we can stay in here. So everybody that's watching, thank you for stopping by, and I hope you enjoyed it.